Ready.
We're back. Right. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon.
Hey,
I have a few slides. We see our board chair, Elizabeth Derwin. And the board member, Kevin Lewis, is with us as well. Just want to give you a little overview about where the Council on Aging was last year, what we're thinking about this year. Truth be told, we're looking to be level funded and to continue to do and build on what we've started to continue to provide great services for adults. So that being said, just a brief overview, our Council on Aging provides a variety of programs, services, and supports to older adults age 60 and older and their families. We provide a variety of social and recreational programs with our monthly newsletter. We have currently 900 printed and about 610 mailed out to residents in town or to receive that. We also provide it online at the library, at the senior center, and by request. And we send it to different groups in town for their residents. We're partners with PESCO, our Aging Services Access Point, to provide a home delivered meals program to those who need that service. We provide senior transportation. We provide medical appointments and different appointments. We have the senior property tax workout program. We have 20 slots this year. Information referral, Medicare counseling through our SHINE program, durable medical equipment on loan, plenty of volunteer opportunities, and then links and resources to various federal, state, and local programs for people to get information, funding that they might need, help improve their well-being and their health status, increase their economic security, and hopefully to decrease some stress and families that they're experiencing as they grow older, or their caregiver, particularly concerns that can come with that. So with that being said, we're a small but mighty staff. Myself as the department head, Lisa Kirby, our 35-hour outreach coordinator, 18-hour week department assistant, Andrew Lazardi, Rochelle Bunt, who's our transportation coordinator, and all things front desk at 16 hours a week. 3 paid drivers, Robert Daly, Jim Murphy, 1 volunteer driver, Rich Poslinski, and a whole host of volunteers who help to operate the desk and other functions, particularly in the afternoon when the staff is lighter. Again, with that being said, we do a lot down there, and obviously in town, our older adult population is growing at a rapid pace. In my budget documents, actually, over 10 years, obviously everybody's aging, but a good 67% increase in terms of overall where we were 10 years ago versus where we are now. But every year, everybody continues to hit that 60 mark. Grow older, stay older. We're doing a good job. People are continuing to live well here and having a long time. Myself and our outreach coordinator celebrated 1-year anniversaries this past year. With her hiring, we were able to extend the operating hours. And years ago, it was only open to about 1. Gradually, things got longer with her hiring. Now we're open every day, 8:30 to 4, and Fridays, 8:30 to 12:30. Our visitors have increased dramatically. There's another slide in this presentation, but our average daily attendance is about 97. It hits over 100 in the fall, particularly with a lot of the stronger programs, special events, and whatnot. And we have well over 25,000 different check-ins. So when you come in to do a program, whether it's one person, you come in for one thing, or you come in for 5 things that day, all of that is documented. We know there are people who come in quickly and capture that. Goal is to continue to capture that data, continued accurate numbers about who's using our services. With all that being said, we've taken a look at the space. As you know, when I started 1.5 years ago, we really wanted to move things around and improve things. We were able to create a room that our Shine counselor can have meetings in and also be used for our new games groups that were implemented this year. The Ellen Rosenfeld's help, and our facility staff, we were able to access another room down there. A lot of the filing was moved to different spots in town, and we appreciate that, and storage. And now with that hosts our very successful Sew and Stitch program. So really the folks who use the space down there are very happy that they can spread out and do all the wonderful things they can do. So our great thanks for that. Programs, like I said, we had this sewing program, Mahjong, Canasta, Bridge. There's an exercise option every day. So we've continued to make improvements to our host of opportunities. And it's been met with a lot of good comments. Every February I do surveys. We try to survey all the programs that happen and people who come in. So now that we're in February again, when you come down for something, there'll be forms to fill out, and we really take those, and the staff looks at those and see if, it's been a kind of an all open suggestion box, if you will, and we try to meet those needs as the year goes on. It also helps to inform us about what people like about the program instructors or the fitness instructors. Last fiscal year, we were able to, with the earmark we received, to add a new sedan to the fleet and retire the aging 2013 Chevy Cruze, which I believe is now being used in town for staff purposes. So we have 3 vehicles in total, 2 larger vans, if you will. One's a little larger than the others. We call it a bus, and a brand new hybrid sedan, totaling just over about 7,000 miles for the year. We provide just about 100 one-way rides a month, just over 1,100 for the year, serving right now about 86 people as of last call. A lot of people are repeat customers, which is great. They rely on us, and they have told us that they don't know what they would do if we weren't able to provide that. So we appreciate the work we were able to do to get the newer, safer, more comfortable vehicle, and our other vehicles are just fine at the moment. Half are medical appointments, the other half people go to run errands, grocery shopping, or just some people go to visit their spouse in a nursing home or a facility, but we're really able to try our best to meet the needs of those people need to go. And then, of course, our communications beyond the newsletter, we have our website, and we last fiscal year turned our publication over to LPI, which is a publication company that serves a lot of the councils on aging, where they provide advertising in the newsletter, and therefore the printing is free. They print it at no cost. So we're saving $4,000 a year on printing costs, which we'll be able to put into programs, and then working with our separate friends group of the Council on Aging, we encourage them to help to pay for the postage, again, helping us save about $4,000 a year. So I'm happy with those initiatives. Here's some pictures of our space. So if you haven't been to the Council on Aging in a while, I encourage you to come down and take a visit. Our admin area has been all cleaned up, and myself and the outreach coordinator, the department assistants, as well as the copy area and file area is back in one area. There's a new shared craft and game room, which previously had been sort of storage space and some admin space. We cleaned up what is now a library, and the new sewing room in the far right corner is what Ellen was able to help us to obtain. As you can see, they filled it very quickly with all the supplies that they need, and 12 to 15 participants use that room once, if not twice a week. So we're very happy with that. So in terms of all the improvements we made and the continual addition of programs, our average visits have really increased. Obviously, the biggest valley, if you will, was during COVID. Then they had the staff turnover and change due to the new director position, and we have since just seen our numbers improve steadily. So I said the average daily attendance is about 97, but as you can see through the months of September, October, November, they peak. They level out again in the colder months. They level out again in the summer months. But we continue to see more people visit, and we're thrilled with that because that's what we're here for. And then, of course, our age distribution of our visitors. We're on the younger side for senior centers, which is great. Our average group, as you can see, is anywhere between 70 and 79, and a really growth in the 65 to 69 age bracket. We meet a lot of people every day who say they just retired, and what can we offer? And then how can they get involved? And can they offer something to what we're currently doing? If they serve on a board program, or perhaps they need help. Many people are caring for older parents, and so it's a mix of both social as well as other service supports that we provide.
So why do you say we're on the younger side? That doesn't seem that young.
From my experience, there's a lot of towns, if you will, cities too, who the average age is more like 75 to 85.
Okay,
So we're really seeing that, suburban community, if you will, where people are staying and that's why a lot of the conversations we have downstairs are about, where am I gonna go next? Can I continue to stay in this town? What are my options as I grow older? How do you help me get into housing? So we're seeing that and then, doing our best to respond to that.
right.
So what's next? In addition to continuing to meet new people and having new folks come in and responding to ideas for programs, we did receive an earmark a few months ago for the second part of a survey to really do a needs assessment about shared services, again, with Medway and Millis. We've contracted with UMass Boston Gerontology, who was a part of the first study we did. We had an earmark last year that did a part one. That kind of took the two towns and what we offer and put them on paper. And this is going to be part two, where we actually explore needs of residents 60 and over in both towns. UMass Gerontology will provide for all of the data collection and focus groups, and we'll see where we can intersect. A big focus is going to be on the services side and the things that we, both towns, are in need of more support for in terms of behavioral health, emotional health, boarding issues, housing, getting more practitioners in to really help with some of those more broad services, if you will. That's where we see myself and the other director in Medway really being able to come together then and find perhaps joint funding to fund somebody for a shared service in those on the services and outreach side of things. So we're looking forward to seeing what comes of the study. But that's going to be our focus. So besides the survey, which will kick off in a few weeks, everybody 60 and over will get a needs assessment survey in the mail. And it will also be available online, and then focus groups will be designed later in the spring. We'll continue to fine tune our data collection. Like I said, there's a lot of people who slipped into the senior center, and we want to make sure we account for everybody. We're looking to explore and the revamping of that coffee drop-in room to make it more welcoming, to see what we can do to modernize it, if you will. Since we spent so much time on the other spaces, that's one that we need to take a look at. And then basically just to keep an eye on the volume and see how we can continue to be responsive. So with all those wonderful things, still we look to be level funded, because we know that with that, our partners in the community and our state funded formula grant, which will remain the same as it was last year, we've been able to take a look at what we have, make small progress towards keeping our funds in check. Any questions?
And for right now, the space seems to be okay.
The space does seem to be okay. The space itself is fine. Modernizing it and making it,
I know.
that's the piece that we're really looking at, because, people are like, this room is great. And some of them are very clean looking. The coffee room, for instance, and room 18 that is used for quite a bit of other activities is they're tired.
Right.
And that's a lot of the feedback that we get. And I think, paint and fresh eyes on it and see sort of how we can reinvigorate it and clean it up more. Those are the next things that we'll be looking at this year, and then seeking to make those improvements probably the following year.
Exciting.
It is.
Exciting times.
It is.
It is. So I'm just thinking if I had any other. Pretty much that's it. Like I said, we're seeing more people every day. That's great. And we're seeing more people who come to do more programs every day. They don't just come and just drop in, they come and they decide to stay. So we know we've made nice improvements, and people want to, that's our biggest compliment, is when people come back. It's a good thing. So, yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Anything? No,
No.
you're down there every
Straightforward.
Thursday.
I work
Oh my
now.
God, she works now.
I work during the week now. I used to work weekends. Am I like the under 55? Was that all me?
I forgot.
Yeah, it's sad. I miss my group.
So we're gonna age dramatically shortly.
So
Yeah.
it's really being able to
Yes.
see what we're doing right now,
Yeah.
really taking a look at it and being prepared for what's going to come in the next 5 to 10 years. You know, I do have people who come in, just the other day, I think she's probably, it doesn't really matter the age, probably late seventies, but she had her daughter with her. I want to show you this place, and it was really nice, and she was saying these wonderful things about it, looks so nice, and she said the words, they cleaned it up. So that message is getting out there, so the more we can do, we'll just continue to folks. And again, it's not just what we do in the center, I don't want to miss that point. Part of what's a continued goal with the outreach services is to really then go into the community and talk to where everybody is, have time at the library, have time in housing, have time at the assisted living. We're looking to potentially do a senior care fair in May for Older Americans Month. So not your typical like health fair, but more about bringing other senior groups in where people can get resource information. And continue those outreach activities as well. There's a lot going on, but it's all good.
It's a lot going on. You do a lot, but people don't realize what a hub you are down there with your tentacles out into, I just got this flyer, trying the Millis Fund. Everybody got this flyer, because Sunday's their big drive, or whatever you want to call it. And you're linked with them. You can go down to the senior center and fill out an application.
Right, we do help.
I mean, stuff, every single thing that people need, they need substance, whatever here, and they need maybe oil help, and then they need maybe some food help. You help everything like that. I know, I don't think people know that. They just think people go in and play mahjong. Okay, but I mean, that's good too.
No, it is, but you're right. There's a huge other side that we do.
Everything.
Focused on, right, which is the fuel assistance. It's everything that you said. It's the Medicare counseling. We have presentations throughout the year about
Housing. You help them find housing.
Yes, we help them apply for housing.
I mean, you have 3 people, 2.5. I don't know how you do it. I'm just saying, don't add another person. Because you said you're all right,
We'll
but
see what the study says. So the study will help to.
it's incredible
future.
how much you help people there.
Which is great.
That's all.
Yeah.
But thank you.
And the only other minor detail, I was gonna say, Anne Marie, that we talked about too, is just looking across your line items as well and making sure that, they represented the true needs of the department. One of the things we were able to do is sort of shuffle around some of the dollars. And
Yes.
If you want to talk about that, go for it.
Sure. So in your budget packet, because of the postage line that had been pretty high, we just reshuffled those numbers so that it could really help so it's level funded. It's just that money.
Well,
was
she
not
had a postage number. Your predecessor had a postage number. Remember, we talked about that, Elizabeth? You couldn't understand it. Every year. It was what, a 10 grand or something? I mean,
Yeah.
Wow.
so it was like, we couldn't wrap our heads around it. So you're dealing with,
So all to say, the two fundamental changes, really that you're going to see in here are around any IT related things specific to the senior center, my senior community, my senior center, their
Our
CRM
database.
yeah,
and then just the opportunity for some, meetings, dues, trainings for the professional staff, to support that.
Right. So we took that money and we reshuffled it that way across programs and services, across training and conferences, which is something that the staff is always eager and anxious to take part in. And the,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And IT,
Professional
Right.
associations, trainings, conferences, things like that.
right. So our thanks to our friends group for helping us to, be able to then reshuffle that right in those categories.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne Marie.
Thank you.
And thanks, everybody.
Thank you for all of your support. We appreciate it down there very much.
What do we got next?
Right.
Oh, she's here.
Yep.
Kim?
Yeah. Came in just on time.
I brought my laptop to share.
It's that one with all the boxes on the far end. Try that. Try that one with all the boxes on the end.
This?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope, that didn't do it either.
You should be able to, Kim. I just don't know how yet. Hold on. I think you have to join those. Yes.
It's all right, take your time. We have 8 minutes before we
That's better.
speak.
That might be the best we can do.
Oh, there you go. That's pretty good.
Oh, don't take that much time.
No, right?
That's so big.
Sure, that's fine. You need the Zoom, link, correct?
Yeah, I also need the Y.
Need the Wi-Fi? Yes.
Same point.
B&B guest.
I can't remember it from last time.
I believe it's,
Sand.
Sand Point, capital S, capital P.
So where do you get your knitting fix now with people? Nowhere.
A member of a knitting guild,
Yeah.
so I go to
That
that
retreat.
once a month.
Oh, once a month.
Yeah. And there's a group that meets in Millis on Thursday nights at the library. I just haven't had a chance to go in. But
Where do they meet? In the road room?
no, I think from what I gathered, they're all the way.
Oh, right there in the front?
Or maybe the.
I think they're way back in the fiction, the nonfiction area.
Get what?
I did it as well.
I
I
did.
think it's so funny that you.
I'm like, hey, I'm gonna ask.
Not yet.
Okay,
It is good for the soul though, I'm here.
yeah, and cognitive, right.
I did as a
My
kid.
mom
My mother
knits
taught me how to
and
knit.
But I know they're different, but she does.
I know,
But she's
I know.
mindless. She doesn't
It's a
know.
visual I can't personally
Yeah,
even
she's
get
always,
over.
like,
But yes,
sitting
I
next
used to
her.
knit.
My son
So that
doesn't,
she would-
Oh, my God.
only because
I
it's
never-
hard to see, he started embroidering Scottish, heather stuff, yeah,
Oh, neat.
yeah.
Yeah, I used to knit one, purl two, whatever that's called. Scarves. Scarves. I was good with scarves.
That's pretty much a straight line.
Never
isn't it?
knew how to end, but you know.
We also have workplace communities at my work, and so you can take a lunch break and everybody gets on Zoom together and it's Wednesdays. Yeah,
It's Zoom,
yeah,
and you all chat.
Yeah.
It's hilarious,
isn't it?
kinda,
Sure, but
kinda,
It's like a book club, but.
but not.
Did not,
Not
yeah.
at all.
let her.
Like, you're not reading
Yeah,
the
there you
same
go.
thing, you're not knitting the same
There
thing.
we go.
All right,
Oh,
I think we're
You're
there.
still 5 minutes
You
ahead.
still
This is good. No, she does not.
No, don't
Start-
wait.
Please.
You,
go
no,
through.
no, don't wait, don't wait. We're ready.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different.
See. And get this in like the display.
Finally.
Go to slideshow at the top.
Look at you.
Yeah,
To
okay.
do this on a semi-regular basis.
So his turn.
Right.
You ready? All right, let's do it.
Pretty good, no technical issues. So I'm
So
Kim
far.
Wilson and I'm the director of the Millis Public Library. And I know you are all familiar, but just real quick to kind of go into the primary services we provide to the community. Free access to many different collections, both physical and digital. Free technology access for all ages in the community, including desktop and portable computing, Wi-Fi, e-readers, printing, scanning, faxing, hotspots that can be checked out. All different kinds of programs for all ages, spaces for work, for meetings, for community events. And then what ties it all together is the staff who help people navigate the library services, the collections, provide tech help to people in the community, plan all the programs, supervise programs. And just, staff the library for the many hours that we're open. So right now we're open 10 to 8, Monday through Friday and Saturday. And so just to kind of give some highlights for last year for 2024. Bars.
So we hosted a total of 534 programs last year, which is a slight increase from the year before. We had a couple of new reoccurring programs, a writers group for adults, and then kind of like a teen-led program. They kind of decided what they wanted to each one. So they call themselves Library Legends. And we saw an increase in attendance. We had 10,433 people attend the programs throughout the year. And it's an average of 20 people per program. So sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, depending on the program. We also saw a big increase in middle school programming. Here we go. We had 26 events over the course of the year, mostly on Friday evenings when our teen assistant is able to do programming. 260 total. We updated our very outdated laptops with, those are for in-house. In terms of collections, we had almost 130,000 total checkouts of physical materials. So this includes books, movies, music, magazines, our library of things. For our e-collections, which includes downloadable ebooks, audiobooks, magazines, and video. We had just over 21,000 checkouts. And we've seen a huge increase in recent years of the downloadable materials of use of our digital collections, 85% in the last 5 years. So we're seeing a lot more use of those collections. And we also launched a digital library to house some of the items that we've archived, that we've digitized from our archives. So that includes Millis High School yearbooks, going back to the first one, and then annual reports going back to 1886. So people can access those without actually having to come into the archive. And then in terms of the building, with funds from our friends group, we were able to refresh our teen space and get new furniture for that space and kind of just reconfigure it so that it's more conducive to multiple groups sharing the space, because it is a smaller space and we've been seeing a lot of use this school year. Especially we have a lot of kids that come into the library after school and they're always looking for like spaces to hang out with their various groups. So that's been great. They've really enjoyed that updated space. We also completed a second phase of the lighting replacement project, which was getting our lighting system off of this obsolete system that we had no support for. So the new system just uses wall switches and occupancy sensors that we can adjust. And so that's working a lot better. And also the system was completed to LED as well.
So how many more phases to that repair? Are we done?
So there's just the outdoor lighting now that needs to
Okay.
be done.
Great.
Yeah, so inside the building, all the fixtures were.
Must be nice to be able to control them.
Yeah, it's nice
Right?
that I don't like see the lights on in the middle of the night. I'm like,
Yep.
what's happening? Because it's like, if we lose power, all the lights just turn on.
Yep.
That doesn't happen. So then just a few things that I wanted to call out for our fiscal year 26 budget request. So the budget request does reflect a level service. There are several line items that were adjusted just to reflect increased costs. And that includes office supplies, water and sewer, and equipment. And those increases are just based on like the actual costs of, the things that we need to kind of keep the library running. So office supplies is like mainly toner, which is just keeps getting more expensive for our staff and public printing. Water and sewer, it's based on what we paid over the past 2 years, and then equipment that increase is mainly due to our vendor that was providing the system that we use for our calendar of events, our room booking software, and our museum pass booking system. So that vendor that we had went out of business, and we had to go find a new vendor. And the other options that were out there, we did go with the lowest bidder, who's providing a great product, but it was significantly more than we were paying. And I did also just want to call out, our teen services assistant who was hired in January 2022, using the marijuana impact funding. So with the addition of this part-time staff person, we were able to add Thursday and Friday hours from 4 to 8, as well as significantly increase the amount of programming that we're doing, and outreach to youth. So primarily, we've been focused on middle school, because that's who we kind of like see the greatest need for. We would love to kind of expand high school programming as well. So we're really hoping that we can kind of continue the progress that we've made. In the last 3 years, I talked about, this past year's middle school programming, but in the past 3 years, we've had 62 programs, and 609 attendees. And we've just seen it each year, they kind of come to expect that we're going to offer these programs. And so we're seeing it grow as more kids find out about it and bring their friends. And I think it just makes the library a more teen-friendly place. They know we're doing more stuff for them. And in general, offering the 2 extra evenings has, we've gotten a lot of really great feedback from the community. People appreciate kind of having the consistent hours during the week. And in 2024, we saw during those hours of 4 to 8 on Thursdays, there was an average of 84 visitors, and on Fridays, an average of 64. And a lot of those people, are coming in and they're using the space for a significant amount of time, for, coming in for meetings. That's the other thing. It makes our meeting space available to groups on those evenings as well. So we've seen sort of the usage over the few years that we've had these evening hours. We've seen the usage of the library increase as well. And then the other item that was funded with the marijuana impact funds was our summer Saturdays. So in July and August, we used to be closed on weekends. And so now we've been able to offer Saturdays year round, which is really important for people who work full time and might not be able to get to the library during the week. This really improves access for them to be able to use the library year round, and also for us to offer programming on weekends of the summer. So that's kind of what I wanted to highlight. I'm happy to answer any questions about anything.
I have a question. Total visitation, you may mentioned it, but I didn't write it down.
Yes, so.
And it's probably in your stuff, but I didn't.
Yeah, so in 2023, we saw 70,000 people visit the library.
Thank you.
I have no idea what that means. What was it in 2022?
So it was I don't have it here, but I know it was a 10% increase from the year before. So we've seen, ever since the closure in 2020, 2021, we've been seeing attendance in the building kind of grow each year.
Is it going back to pre-COVID numbers or it's past that already?
It's hard to say because during COVID, we updated our door counter to a much more accurate system.
Okay.
So we're getting very accurate numbers. I think the numbers we were getting previously, they were higher, but I think the system was maybe not as accurate.
Okay.
I think pre 2020, it was something like 100,000. But like I said, I don't know how it actually.
You don't know.
This new one is better at
Yeah.
like, if a group of people comes in, like realizing it's more than one. And not like if someone's kind of walking around the vestibule, not like that person over and over again.
I do have one question. I think it's for Mike, really. They have water and sewer on this. Should that not be on here?
That's something we're looking at as far as
Oh,
all
so we don't know
utilities.
yet.
Yeah, it's something
Oh.
we're in discussions on.
Okay, all right.
Is how we really
Right.
set
Left
up
it
all
for
the
now.
utilities.
Okay.
There may be some benefits to pulling that away and putting that into a central budget, but that's part of the discussions we mentioned earlier.
There's a couple of them, like, the maintenance contract, the building design. We may look at moving those things to town buildings, but again, we have to just diagnose the benefit, to doing that versus, you start losing the true cost for a building, right? When you start pulling out those
Yeah.
essential costs. So, something we're looking at, but for now it's,
Yep.
yeah,
Mhm.
say it's like 90% baked, but we have to do a little bit more work around it.
John, you got something?
Yeah, you might have been burying the numbers there. Do you have a trend of the different ages of that come through the doors?
So we aren't really able to make it down very well just because it's like a automated door counter.
Yeah.
But we can look at like different ages that are, we do track programming attendance
Yeah.
by age.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we can see like how many people attend adult programs versus the young child.
Yeah. Say the kids are increasing, the adults are increasing, like different rates are increasing.
Yeah, so we can measure that.
Yeah.
No.
But I think
Sure.
we've definitely seen more, like an
You're a
increase
Millis
in
resident.
program attendance for like both young kids and adults.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The copier that you use,
Yes.
did you guys buy it? Do you pay for it?
Yeah, it's like a desktop copier printer that we own.
Okay,
So we don't have like a.
Don't have a
Yeah,
lease.
yeah, it's not a rental. It's not like a tall guy, it's just a desktop.
okay, okay,
Is that your main copier?
Mm-hmm,
A desktop?
yeah.
okay.
We feel that's
They might
sufficient.
Previous to
Digital.
when I was here, there was like a actual like coffee machine that was like being rented. And I think that the director at the time found that it was more cost effective to have a desktop one and like buy the supplies ourselves.
Okay.
I might be worth looking at that again because obviously
What's
the,
your question about?
Well, I'm only asking because we're going back out, for this building, we're adding fire, and so I just.
For copiers, you mean?
Yeah.
We're going.
At least we decide.
So this would be
Does the
time because
desktop suffice?
yeah, it's fine. I mean.
So
it's
you
like-
don't let people come in
Oh, yeah, people can come in and
Yeah,
print.
we do. Yeah, we do.
and print and color and everything like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And the desktop, wow, I wouldn't think of.
The toner and stuff would be a lot, like, we don't pay for toner right now. We
Which
just
is
have.
part of your,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm wondering what the numbers, I
yeah,
mean, it probably can't be that much, but it might be something.
might be worth looking at.
You should look at it because if
Yes.
we've got,
Yeah.
economy of scale here.
Yes, the more, that's why we're going in with the school this time. to
Yeah.
kinda get-
Yeah.
Yes.
Look at that,
We try.
almost like running a business.
Yeah, we just have to look at, I guess, space where it's getting larger because
Okay.
the area where the copier used to be was kind of big seating.
Any other questions? Anybody
I'm good.
going once? Thank you, Kim.
Thanks.
Kim, did you want to talk about the capital request?
Oh, sure, yeah, I can talk about
Yeah,
that.
We almost got out of it.
no, the capital's worth hearing.
You might recall, we had a facilities condition assessment done,
Yes, you
a
did.
few years back now. So we're kind of using that as a blueprint for kind of what we need to do to kind of keep the building in good condition. And one of the things, like the more, time sensitive things that we haven't addressed yet is basically some, repairs and upgrades to our HVAC system. most of the building repair costs the past couple of years have been HVAC related. So we're trying to kind of get ahead of that by doing some maintenance. There's like a central controller, that hasn't been functioning for a couple of years now. It's the remote monitoring capability isn't working, so nobody.
You mean the building management system?
Yeah, exactly. So nobody's able to, unless you're like in that
I
back,
get it.
like utility room, you're not able to adjust or see any of the.
But didn't you learn that that company's gone? The original one?
The original company,
Was that the lighting?
so that was
That
for
was
the
the lighting.
lighting.
That's just the
system.
lighting piece.
Yeah, I think the original company for the HVAC
It's
is.
still there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're trying to do something different here in Town Hall. We're trying to maintain all of our buildings before they fall apart.
Yeah,
I know it's hard to wrap your head around it, but that's a priority.
Is that the $32,000 that's in there?
so there's a few things that are included in that. So part of it is to either repair or replace that central controller. That I think will also take care of the archive, to be able to have remote monitoring. Because there's like a humidify or a dehumidifying system that,
Yeah.
in the past was like stopped working and we didn't know right away, so that'll like let us monitor that as well. There's some refrigerant piping that's missing insulation. I mean, that's like a minor part of
Yeah.
it. And then the sort of like the IT electrical area is like very hot. So to add some kind of like cooling to there, just to like
Yeah, but
preserve
that's-
the life of the equipment.
Well, that's hot. What we do is remove the ceiling tiles.
What we do is we put in a mini split system and make
That
it actually
too.
work.
Well, that too. But hold on one sec. Are you, is John Engler aware of, is he,
I'm sure he's aware of some
Okay.
of the HVAC problems.
so has he been
going on.
talking to anybody to try to get some quotes or anything?
So far, we've mainly been kind of like fixing things as they stop working. So the estimate here was what the company that did our assessment, quoted, like estimated that the cost would be. So we haven't gotten quotes for this yet.
So the
Okay.
estimates from 2022.
Yes.
And the estimates from not a company that's actually going to do the work.
Right.
It's one that,
Assessed,
right.
So we need
We need to
on the
update that and get it
number.
together.
Right.
planning.
so-
Yeah.
Right,
but she's got the work recorded that needs to be done.
Right.
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, so we can talk about that later with John Engler and.
Yes.
Karen. Look at the actual, issues as outlined and see if we can get, a more recent quote. So at least we have, make sure we have enough to cover it.
Yeah, and what people don't realize, because we did the lighting, people are saying it's a brand new building,
I
why do
know.
we have to spend 110?
I know.
It's 10 years old, 11 years old now. Yeah,
Yeah.
and these are the things that keep it from falling apart.
Yes,
And, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
but not really. Not
You gotta
really.
do it.
We're not kicking this can
No.
down the road anymore.
If you stay on top of these $32,000 fixes, the $100,000 lighting, the roof, the things
Fine.
we did, then you don't end up having a building fall apart after 25 years.
That's right.
And have a $20 million bill.
Yeah.
So, yes,
Yeah.
it's important. Good. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Who's next? Building Department.
I will not wait. I will move directly by.
Oh,
Okay.
The updated DPW.
Oh,
You passed down the building.
yeah.
So this is.
This is for DPW's updated.
Okay.
Building
Is that
department.
building,
This whole packet is DPW. Pass it down and repeat what I just said.
This DPW.
yeah.
There we go.
Got me
I do.
To
DPW.
go at the beginning or the end? Some sort of order.
Yes. I'm thinking this goes at the end. That unreadable little sheet that just twisted the page orientation. It would have been readable. Right. That's why there's an hour.
And this goes to DPW, you said?
Bill,
I mean, building.
building.
Which is where we are
I
right
think
now.
that this is, I've already,
Building, got it.
it's a review.
Oh, we take the other one out?
Yeah,
Just to update. That's the only thing I have now in this, right? This one thing.
that one page,
I hope there's a lot of information on it.
there's enough. There's numbers. I don't see a dramatic change.
You know. Jim, why don't you come up? I don't wanna wait.
Looking up, great.
You're always
I was
prepared.
gonna ask if you're prepared,
I'm
but
not worried.
Yeah, she didn't worry about that.
I didn't worry about that. I know you're prepared.
we need a convention on how we poke holes in things.
Okay,
Okay, Jim Donovan, IT department. I normally prepare something and then I read it really fast. So this year I didn't really prepare anything. So basically I figured I would just go over e-permitting to start,
Okay,
great.
because that's one of the big topics. So we're getting close. So basically I gave Ellen a little
I got it.
breakdown of when things started and where we are in the process. So based on when things got awarded and when things were signed, it's 6 to 9 months for completion, which puts us in February to May. So we're looking around March for building department to be live, and then the other departments will follow suit. We did building, fire, board of health, and town administrator's office. Building's probably the most complicated out of all of them, so that's why we're choosing to go do that one first. So we're pretty much on schedule for that one, and just waiting for some changes to be made and some completions before we can try to go live.
Awesome.
Um,
I want to be here the day we go live. I want to be in the building department the day we go live. Just
the little things in life.
all it means is putting a link on the website.
I know.
But she wants to see who gets the first
I wanna be
permit
the
in.
next one that sees,
We can do some balloons or something, maybe a cake, I guess.
Yeah,
but,
oh, if there's cake, maybe I'll attend.
all right.
I'm not really sure. And then from there, I think I'll just jump into the, find it, the budget, narrative. So basically, the IT department does everything except for the schools. So we do obviously town hall, police, fire, DPW, NCOA. All of them have slightly different needs and, requirements. I work with library a little bit, but not as much as I'd like to. So that is something maybe this year, but I'm not 100% sure, but I'd like to change going forward and work with them a little bit more. So some of the accomplishments for this current year have been the e-permitting, assessing and starting the implementation. So obviously, like I just said, we're working on towards that, and hoping to be live, at least with the building department in mid-March. Meeting live streamed, where this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube, is one of the accomplishments that Ellen pushed for and worked for, and I think is a great thing. It makes it very easy for people to watch this, specifically this type of meeting that's not even being shown by Millis Media. And it also allows things to be shown and viewed from people not within the town on TV. The next thing is virtual desktop conversion. So back in, I believe it was August or September, this board approved moving the town hall off of what's called thin clients and Azure virtual machines to physical desktops and laptops like Jody. That went well for the town hall. Everyone has moved off of it. We're starting to see the savings right now. It basically resulted in almost $40,000 for the savings per year. Now, some of those have been taken up with other things, so don't expect my budget to drop. That being said, I'm also working on it over at police. Currently, we started it about 2 weeks ago. We have some minor things to finish up. I have some meetings on it this week and some extra computers to finish working on, but they're mostly there at this point.
So explain it to people that don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean, what we saved in what, fees or
Yes,
in fees?
so Azure itself, where these computers were basically stored and running, so to speak. Microsoft was charging us a fee for the computer and then also for usage of those computers. So that was running about 4,000 a month. It was higher at some points, a little bit lower at some other points, but
Okay.
roughly we'll say 4,000
Yeah,
was the number when I started. So right now that number's technically down to zero. I think I have one
so
payment.
this one's free?
So we migrated from like a cloud-based system
Yeah.
to a non-cloud-based,
So we
actual
bought desktops,
computers.
we bought desktops
Right.
instead of having virtual desktops.
correct?
Right.
Okay.
So the cost of those computers themselves were, I think for town hall, I think I spent roughly 14,000 or so. So that ate up some of that 40,000 in computers for this year, and then there's computer costs ongoing throughout the years of
Right.
replacements and things. So the cost is, that 40,000 doesn't just go away, there is other costs.
Right, but if you don't have
So
the
if you don't-
cloud, is that is that okay?
Well, so there's two parts of the cloud. There's one part of the cloud where what we were paying for is where the computer was located. We are still paying for cloud services.
Okay,
So like
Thank
Microsoft
you.
Office, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, all those things, our email, all that stuff is still in the cloud.
fine,
So one of the things that when that process was created was 7 years ago or so, we still had servers in the building. We had a server for rec department software, for Munis, for things like that. We had physical servers here. Everything since then is now located at that company. We pay for Munis to house that, the rec software they
Okay.
handle. So now even servers for, say, file storage and stuff like that is in a program called SharePoint, which is Microsoft's, and it's part of what we already pay for anyway. So we'd be paying for it whether we
I
use it or
like
not.
that. All right, very good, thank you.
So stuff moved into that, and again, I am doing it at police currently as well. And working on getting some of those costs down over there. Those were slightly different because they were, they had all the servers physically in the building instead of being in the cloud. So we're not necessarily
Okay,
see a soft cost reduction,
right,
but we don't have to go out and spend 40 to 60 grand on new servers this year,
right.
because of doing this.
But what about fire?
Fire was already
Good,
kind of standalone and didn't really have, they were using SharePoint a little bit.
okay,
And they were kind of just standalone. They only have 5 computers over there or so, so it wasn't really a big deal for them.
okay,
Cybersecurity training, we went through it last year. I think this week we've shown several people have found things and not clicked on them because of it. So it does work.
okay.
Our participation was,
What?
Congratulations.
You're one of them?
I gave them a gold star for that one.
Nice,
So our participation was rather low. So I'm working this year as that's one of my goals is to try to increase that participation. One of the ways to doing it for this first year going forward is to limit the number of people that were in it. Before it was basically anyone who had an email address. As I'm finding and as I'm working through currently, a lot of those people don't even use their email addresses. So they were lowering our numbers and not even knowing they were because they don't ever check it.
okay,
Other people like yourself on the boards have town Millis email addresses. And we're getting some emails from and either ignoring them, thinking they might have been spam. And I was not able to follow up with them to get them to do it.
right,
So right now I'm kind of bringing it in and more targeted approach. And then next year we'll start expanding a little more to the boards. For example, you would be one of the boards that would have to do it and then kind of move on to the other boards. And that would be a requirement to have a town email address is fitting that.
Yeah,
didn't we do
And if they
that? What
don't,
was
then they
that
don't.
thing we
use the town
did?
email.
We've gotten requests to do it in the past.
What was the thing
Sometimes.
we did? I brought in my slides and everything to show you I passed each leg.
Yeah.
Wasn't that this?
no,
Congratulations.
is that ethics?
Oh, ethics,
Oh, yeah.
never
There's an
mind.
ethics one? No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. I did the ethics one and I have to do 2 others of these cyber ones and I was a CIO, so it's getting a little redundant.
It is, and so in some police officers, I'm not gonna make them do
Yeah.
it because they're already doing it for the state.
Right.
The clerk's office, if they don't do it, they lose their state
Right.
computer access, so I don't make them do it either. So there's gonna be certain things like that. So basically, I think from that perspective, if you're doing it somewhere else and you send me proof, you're absolved.
Okay,
Because the whole
great.
point is really doing it.
Yeah,
And doing it on a consistent basis, so this isn't a once and done, this is a throughout the year and then every year going forward is doing it.
Yep,
So then the department goals, obviously completing the e-permitting, which I already explained is where we are on that.
Yeah.
I want to look at our phone system and try and save a little bit of money, but also getting a little more functionality out of it as well. E-fax or electronic fax. Right now we have 3 faxes in the building, 2 faxes in the building. No, three faxes physically in the building. I think we pay for another line or 2 that we don't even use anymore. And then we also have some of the e-fax capabilities. So that's gonna be worked on when we get to that point of trying to do that for next year, of getting rid of all those physical faxes that we can and moving them into more of a electronic fax. So it's more based on email or website. They are fully HIPAA compliant, so we don't have any issues there. It's something that's pretty industry standard at this point.
Okay, good.
Copier contract, I know Victoria was already talking about it with the library.
Yeah,
So I have a meeting specifically tomorrow, but I'm going over the next couple months of working with the schools on what vendors we're going through and choosing. And we're basically being on board with them and using basically whoever they choose to try to get the best bang for our buck there.
great.
Cybersecurity, I think I already went over that.
Yep,
Grants, I'll continue to look at grants. I'm trying to finish up a couple grants right now. Once those grants are completed, we'll start looking at more. There's basically a yearly grant or comes out yearly that we can get every other year. So once we complete these, we'll be looking into those as to what we can do with that. Spending highlights, we'll go over specific spending in a second, but the highlights, again, the reduction of 40,000 from Azure, from the cloud services. We did reallocate funds around the budget, specifically from the police department over into IT, because they were paying their own WorldBand, which is our contracted services managed service provider for support. They were paying their own service, we were paying our own service, so we're basically gonna combine that into one. So it's basically one bill for the entire town. And there is some increased cost in that as the next line of their new service. We have a new service agreement with them. One of those is EDR, which is basically an advanced antivirus, which is starting to be required by our cybersecurity vendor. And it's really the industry standard at this point to have EDR. So that's one thing that WorldBand provides with our new service agreement with them. That's that. Then I guess on to the budget itself. If anyone has any questions, I'm sorry.
no, we're good.
So as you see, there's been some movement in the budget. We're pretty stable compared to last year. There's slight increases because my hours did go from 35 to 40 due to the SEIU contract. Also, I was doing the hours anyway, so it made sense to be part of that, to meet that, what the contract already stated. And then from there, as you see, there's still some changes in the line items themselves as to how much they are, some of them going down a lot and some of them
Going up a lot.
going up a lot. Some of that is just things moving around.
Yep,
Some things came out of my budget, for example, the rec software, which I believe Christy mentioned earlier. There was some other things in the assessor's budget that moved out of mine and went to theirs. So there was a couple things there, and then eventually we'll look into whether phones or copier contracts come into my budget as well. That's a next year part of it, but this year we're kind of just starting off moving some things around.
Just to interject here as well, some of the guiding principles we're using for this is, does the entire town use it? Or is it specific to your
Right,
department?
I get
And So
it.
anything that's specific will stay in budgets, assessor software, for example, you get the point. So that's kind of what we were able to work through and say, okay, what actually makes sense in which line item, so that it, again, is more accurately representative of, where Jim per se is spending money on software versus just contracted services and things like that. So you'll get a better look at actual spending this way.
So then some other things just went up due to inflation, Microsoft licensing, things like that are going up. So that is all in there. Overall, my budget really went, I would say about 10 to 13,000 above what it was last year. If you looked at it with keeping those things in and not
yeah,
adding in police and stuff, you would say about 13,000 more. So really, my budget is pretty stable.
yeah.
I think that's it.
I like a stable budget.
I do too.
Do you? I do. Any questions? Anybody? Go ahead.
I was gonna say the other thing that I know Jim's working on as well is very much like a fleet rotation, like we would for police, the same type of thing, an overarching IT strategy. about equipment and things like that so that we can build into the budget. We're replacing, you know, I don't know, 12 laptops every
yes.
year or whatever. So we're on a 3 to 5 year rotation.
Yes,
And that sort of thing. So we have that bigger picture and we can build that into the budget. So year after year, we have a nice cycling of our
yes,
IT.
a 5-year plan would be nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got the approval to move over to the computers back in like August, September. And then just now recently we started moving over police. So unfortunately, right now, we had a specific, everyone was bored at this time. However, that being said, I did make sure we utilize some equipment that we previously had. So next year I'll have some, I didn't really do many laptops. So next year I'll have a laptop rotation
Right.
to put into place. So I am working on having that be a little different. And desktops, usually you still want to stick to 5 years, but you can go 6. So there will be some, I won't necessarily need to replace right away. I can say replace, you know, specific ones, for example, finance heavy users, things like that. They may get a faster rotation than say, DPW kiosk type thing, you know, and things like that. So I am working on doing that for next year.
Awesome.
Understanding what it's gonna be.
Okay, we good?
Good,
Everybody's good?
good.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
There we go. Finance, get down to membership. It's pushing on the program. Shows the babysitting eventually.
All right, Mr.
Probably good at
R2.
scanning the people that come in.
Making you wait, but we jumped you.
No, it's all right, all right. You guys have the handles of the budget?
You have
We
one
do.
page.
You have something different? Maybe? I got 1 page. Let's see if it matches up.
Tell me.
It
Oh,
does.
there's a couple more pages to it too, though. Gotcha.
There's 1 more page, but the top one is the
Thank you.
same.
Oh,
Just for everyone's knowledge,
Yeah.
Joe's jumped in right in the middle of the budget process.
I know.
So appreciate him getting right on the saddle and going right at the budget here.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't.
Well, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
So, obviously, my first budget cycle and only being here a few weeks, so I jumped right into it. I don't have any like initiatives or anything like that going on right now, other than working with Jim and getting online permitting going. Everything looks pretty promising there as far as getting ready by, the middle of March. We've been working with them, it's been doing pretty good back and forth, but, I think we'll have everything ironed out. I've worked with them previously in the other town that I came from, so, they're a good permit software program, so I think it's gonna work out well for it. So the majority of my budget, is spent on obviously salaries and supplies, most of it is level funded. I put a slight increase into the meetings and dues due to inspectors, continuing education, the cost of their license and things of that nature, and the different meetings that they belong to and the different associations that they belong to as well. The other thing that we have is mileage reimbursement, not too much there, just a little bit of a little above what it was last year. But one of the things that I'm trying to do, and which I'm hoping that we can get approval on, if you look on the next page, is a capital project to acquire a 2026 Chevy Blazer all-wheel drive SUV. That would help with one, cutting down a little bit on the mileage, being a shared vehicle as inspectors need it. And it would help identify when we're going out to do construction supervising sites and
Okay, what do you have now?
nothing.
Nothing.
We take
The
our own.
prior building
Oh,
commissioner
we have
used their own vehicle. So
Okay.
most towns do have
A
a
dedicated vehicle
dedicated inspection vehicle. for the
that sits
inspection
here in the
department.
parking lot, you
Sits
come in,
here,
you drive it.
Used by inspectors.
Only.
And it certainly adds a level of professionalism and
We can't just get him a magnet to put on his, with the Miller Steel, that's not professional
Got
enough,
my IT guy's a magnet with the
right?
YMCA
No.
logo.
And it's not just one individual is, Joe.
All the inspectors,
Yeah.
everybody can jump in it.
It's shared, so that's why the mileage doesn't go away. However, you know, whoever needs it the most can have it. The other thing that it'll help out with too is, like after hours when there's, fire calls and stuff. I went to one on Friday night on Ridge Road.
Yeah.
And I showed up to my pickup truck and I'm walking down and they're like, where you coming from? You know, if I came and picked up the vehicle here at Town Hall and then went there, it'd be more identification
Right.
coming up to the scene.
But
Did you
you'd
have
be
a
late
chance
going there. Go
to
ahead.
talk with Bob about the opportunities for hybrid vehicles or so?
Yeah, we did, we went back and forth with that,
Is this a hybrid or no?
no, it's not hybrid,
Okay,
but it does meet the Green Communities Act that we're part of,
okay,
so it does meet.
all right.
We were looking at that, we looked at several different vehicles. Chevy Blaze was one, two others that came up, but the most reasonable seems to be the Chevy Blaze.
And you get
It's the
it.
best fit.
And there's a quote on the last page. But that's for the 2025, and we hit the fiscal year 26.
They may not have any 25s left.
Yeah,
right?
right,
Right.
so it changes.
So our building inspectors has never had, we've
Well,
never had a
not
town
since-
vehicle.
Not since I've been here.
Okay.
I don't know if way back they did.
I wonder,
Yeah.
Billy Whalen never had, I have no idea. Okay,
Any questions?
you good?
I'm good.
He's good.
All right,
Right.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Okay,
We'll take one.
all right, we're taking a little break, Jim, and then you
Okay.
belly up
Way
to the
ahead.
bar, boys. Not way ahead of the schedule.
50 minutes.
Oh, we are way ahead of the schedule. Get back here.
So you got a hand up in the air?
Yes.
Yes, we did. Huh?
Do towns buy these vehicles?
Yeah, they do.
But why would it have to be in the system? I was gonna.
They do.
Usually for vehicles, you're not gonna get a used vehicle. Reserves, fire.
Well, no, you're not.
That you're not. gonna
No,
get.
but something like this I could.
Yes, and so one of the things, I wish I mentioned it, but
How are we gonna do?
we talked about.
Good luck.
Possibly leveraging existing
Oh, I
vehicles,
see.
like we talked about to, yeah, so we talked about the fire vehicle.
Sharing.
that we turned in, an admin vehicle from the police department, council on aging has a Toyota, it's not ideal, like it's not the end game, right, but. It's registered, it's insured, it's available, right, so there are, and that's just a Toyota Camry, he wants an all-wheel drive, just because of construction sites, I get it. But there are other options besides brand new,
I'm sure these
And we
questions
work
will all
together.
come
we
during
will
the
also
capital
go through,
committee.
and I will meet with him again to kind of get through, we don't have an exact number right now, because he hadn't landed where he wanted to be. But he did do his due diligence and talk to Bob from an energy perspective. We shared some internal resources as to who he could call and what he could reach out to. But the other thing is, he's looking at the state bid lists as well, to see if there are inventories, yeah, talk to Jim, to see if there are inventory, if there's inventory out there that would meet his four-wheel drive. Yes,
4 or 5-year-old vehicle.
No, but not
That meets the
for-
requirements. That
Not-
might be half the price.
But not for nothing, that's not a bad price.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Chevy Cruze that we took over from the council on aging. And that was our initial thought with the vehicle is that, so that would be shared by all departments.
Yeah,
So the assessor could use it, building. department,
Yeah.
But it's a Chevy Cruze, it's not. So we have a vehicle that is.
yeah, good. It's a Chevy Cruze instead of a Chevy
just a sedan.
Blazer.
The sedan.
I love everything about it.
I got
It's on all-wheel drive.
I got a 12-year-old,
So I'm just saying, we do currently have that for.
What do you got?
I got the
You got a-
12-year-old, Ford, whatever you got, Ranger. That my son needs to sell before it falls apart. I might donate that to the town. Everybody has to be able to drive standard though.
It's been a few years, but I used to be able to drive.
I'll be able to drive it.
Yeah, there you go.
You ready?
We're close.
Hey, Jim, did you ever get back to that guy that I came and talked to you about that sent me the link, the guy you knew about with the drainage and the boop it up? You knew everything.
A tree guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm getting it. Oh, the phone's on, Bridge Street, Bird, yeah.
yeah, why is he a tree guy?
I think because that's what he is. He has a tree for him.
Okay, yeah. Did you ever,
Not yet, no.
all right.
Because we don't have any, nothing out yet.
Do you remember what his name was?
Sells Christmas trees.
Oh, don't look at me like I know. My wife buys it from the Lions Club in
Oh,
Medway.
dear, Is that
Dear.
fine?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and then, well, then,
Well, that's helpful.
okay.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
think I was
Oh, there it is. That's much more readable.
I would hope more of a conversation than the budget. I mean, the PPW budget changes before every day. I mean, I change things today that Jody hasn't even done yet. You know, costs and stuff like
Yeah.
that I just got from, Jen, the treasurer collector, a little while ago. So what you're looking at, this is the DPW, organizational chart, hasn't changed from last year. Too quick. So we need to discuss the percentages. As you know, for the past 3-4 years, we've always looked at the idea of percentages being shifted away from the general fund and feel into the, all actually from the failing out of the water and sewer to the stormwater to the general fund, because of the costs and the way the percentages have always been presented. So this year, Deirdre and myself, we sat down and we presented to the town administrator and the finance director a new percentage. Because for the third year in a row, we look at a shortfall if things don't get changed in the general fund of a possibility of $130,000 to $140,000, continue from, year over year. The finance director took a different take on it than the previous finance director. It was always been my assumption that the enterprise funds cannot bail out the general fund. It's the opposite. The general fund
Can bail out the
the
enterprise.
enterprise funds because the enterprise funds are built off of the enterprise fund. That's what you sign when you agree to have an enterprise fund.
Okay.
Whoever.
So the general fund cannot bail out the enterprise
No,
fund?
it's the other way around.
Other way around. Enterprise funds cannot bail out the general fund.
Correct.
Okay.
And if you look, what they've been signing for the past several years, your signatures on it, that's exactly what's been happening.
Okay, and Jody, what's your take on that?
Big picture, looking at the enterprise fund operation, and the resource allocation to the enterprise fund versus what's happening in reality, is that we have budgeted resources in the enterprise funds, of which rates are driven, right? Overall operating costs to decide what ratepayers are paying. But those resources are being used for general fund work. And that's been happening over the course
Yes.
of the last stretch, right?
We know that.
So
Yeah.
what that creates from an optics perspective is
Yes.
that we're using resources allocated to one location of the business when they should be working over here, right? So my concerns that I brought up to the DPW director and the town administrator, we just had this conversation about it, is that what's breaking over here or potentially gonna break, right? Deferred maintenance, you name it, because we're taking those resources and bringing them over here to use, on the general fund side, and vice versa, what's not gonna get done on the general fund side if you keep your resources where they're supposed to be allocated, right? So Jim's between a little bit of a rock and a hard place to say, okay, I'm getting, the community needs this, the residents, this, that, the work that has to be done, the potholes, you name it. I have people, they're supposed to be working over here, but he's internally, and I don't wanna put words in your mouth,
No,
but prioritizing the work appropriately, right? But the letter of the law is, this is the budget that got voted, funded, et cetera, right? But then we're taking the resources and using them over here. So I said, okay, I understand why, right?
We've been doing
But-
that for.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, right? That practice is not best practice. Because technically, you're essentially using enterprise dollars to fund general fund work, right?
So we have to put 120,000 into general fund somehow and stop taking it out of the enterprise fund.
Essentially, to write it, right? Or let the things not happen, right? The sidewalks not get cleaned, the sand not get swept, you name it. What's gonna happen on the general fund side, that workload, what is not gonna get done? So when we spoke, I said, okay, here's sort of the action items. Let's talk about a staffing model that you would like to see if you just started from scratch. What does the DPW, the enterprise funds, what does that staffing model look like? and get that to us. So that we can then assess the dollars that are associated, right? So if we don't know where we're going or what it should be, then we can't get there,
So
right?
did we do that? No.
So it'll be a process.
What do you think, Jim?
Should have been done.
So there's 120,000 there.
What's happening, and that I'm uncomfortable with on the finance side is just the immense amount of work to sort of reclassify all of the transactions at the end of the year, right? Because then we pull it over back to the enterprise fund and recharge them.
I get it.
So,
Yeah.
so I get it. from a
You do that
practicality standpoint.
at the end of every year.
We would have to if the.
No, I know, but you
yes,
do now.
yes.
At the end of every year, you gotta,
Well, line item transfers and things like
Yeah.
that, yes, but not like this. This is different.
okay.
But the exercise that's been happening over the last stretch is, it's told the story, right, of where resources are actually being used. And so we have enough data. It's just my opinion. We have enough data. We know where we're short resource wise, but we can't or shouldn't continue to operate in that manner. Right?
I love
So
everything
that's all.
about that.
That's all.
The only part that, yeah, I agree
What
with it.
part don't you
So
like?
finding
Well, I-
$120,000.
I think that-
It needs to be there.
Let's keep going down the sheet and you can see it.
Okay.
You'll see what it
Yeah.
is. Just a little background. I mean, it's not like you haven't done nothing about this.
I know,
Oh, yeah.
you've been working, I know they
Yeah.
have.
No one's saying that no one's
Yeah.
done anything to correct it over the years. I mean, if you remember the first year, there was a person hired
Yeah,
and totally put under the general fund.
Right,
The next year, which was, I think was last year, we presented most of the managerial staff were all gonna be 25, 25, 25, and that included the DPW
Yeah.
director, the superintendent, the mechanic,
Yeah.
the general foreman, and the two staff people in the DPW office. So, and then how we allocate our funds that each day is we just put 8 hours in. And that's how they do it, each one of them do it also.
Yeah.
So if you remember back when I put mine in and, Deirdre and John put theirs in and David put his in, it even made it worse. I mean, that 120 was 240.
right.
Until we did something with that, it narrowed it down to the 120. So the slide here you're looking at, this is our staff. We have 16 full-time employees. And they're turkey.
Yep.
So this is what we're
Yeah.
proposing of the changes. And as they get into each budget, the general fund is going to show you the most important one when we get to the general fund, because that's where the cost is going to be. You look up top, that's what we have now. As you can see, FY 25 department split, that's the way it is today, and this is what we propose.
the top is what it is today.
That's what it is
The
today.
26 is the new
New
proposal.
proposal, and you can see down the bottom, there's a percentage in cost.
And you worked with Jody with this, or you did this?
We did it internally in the office, and we presented to the town administrator and Jody both, and then it was, it
This is a lot of work.
one step forward, then it was just,
Right,
so the next, as we get into each budget, I'll be able to explain, this is a salary, form 2. These are the DPW salaries with everything. This is, with all stipends, all, everything that everybody gets, longevity added in, and that's what the flow 2 does. For this. The next page, for us, Debbie does the salary aspect of it. She needs to, this is everything without the licenses, and this is how the breakdowns are. Each individual person probably get paid out of, each line item, that's today. Next.
yep,
Longevity, let's say we have longevity, the breakdown and how it will be for each person. When I say this is everybody's, this is how it will be in FY 26. With the new splits. Clothing allowance, is the next page where we get clothing allowance. That's the breakdown for that. We all get $1,200.
you each get $1,200.
Correct. Next is the capital item. We're asking for a new DPW small dump truck. And that would be split 4 ways across all divisions. If you remember, we came in November and we asked for the large dump truck, and that was 100% under the general fund.
Right.
The reason why I didn't ask for it then is because they didn't have it. I didn't see any reason to ask for a bid for something that they just don't have. Now they have these in stock, and that's why we're requesting. It's on the capital planning committee. It's stay falling apart, you know, due to rust and stuff like that. You know, the underbody of the truck, it's just, it's needs to be replaced. Next, we're asking for, that's the quote there, like that. This is here. And again, this is, all I did was pretty much change the date of the DPW record.
Yeah.
We should probably be asking for 2, but, you know, I'll take 1 at the moment. And, you know, we still need 3. You know, this doesn't fit into the, what we talked about over the, late summer into, fall, into winter of combining and actually creating a new department. You know, whether it be a field maintenance division, that would take over all of the fields throughout the town. It would take over all the maintenance of all the different, conservation commission land, all the, Oak Grove. And we had
And
much
the schools.
discussion. The schools.
All of it.
But one person ain't gonna do that.
No, I know.
It would have to be a, you know, long-term.
I know
And what the
commitment.
savings are, you know, we looked at the savings, but it's out there. The budget narrative, is highlight, you know, what we, you know, what, when I say we, what we do, because we're all here, and, you know, the funds that are allocated at the town meeting has given us the ability to pave and do sidewalks at a much greater pace than we've ever done in the 19 years that I've.
I just have one question, sorry, Jim.
Yep.
This Community Paradigm Associates from
Yep.
March,
Yeah.
is that somewhere? Have I seen?
So,
Yeah, it's.
That was done in 18?
it's,
What?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I have. It was the study that really talked about how to break down the DPW staffing and how to monitor it and how to allocate it. And the idea was to, there's a lot in it,
Yeah.
but one of the key pieces was do a look forward. So not look forward, but take last year's allocation, last year's true allocation, use it for the next year's budget allocation. So you're not trying to make changes in real time. So for FY 26, you'd allocate based on, I think it was like the average of the last 3 years, you know, 23, 24, 25 average.
Okay.
So you're not saying that Jody has to go through and track each of the actual usages for 26.
Yeah.
It'll be close,
Yeah.
but
Okay,
it eliminates spikes and you can plan.
it's online though.
Yeah.
All right, I'll
it's
find it.
interesting reading.
Yeah,
yep,
yeah.
So, you know, we did a substantial amount of paving last year. We did, you know, the great thing is replacing the sidewalks on, Plain Street, that kids can actually walk to school now instead of
Yeah.
about, you know, tripping. So I have pretty aggressive ideas of what I'd like to do, you know, next year, but that's for another meeting. We don't go to town meeting up with paving like we used to in the past. It's up to the select board to approve, you know, what we want to do in FY 26. So we'll come back with that. There's a couple of ideas there, you know, what we'd like to do. You know, the big thing is, in front of the, on Village Street, we'd like to extend the sidewalk from
Mhm.
Plain Street, Pleasant Street, I'm sorry, Pleasant Street all the way to the Medway Town Line. I got a preliminary cost on that, and so
Yeah.
I'd like to.
And we
A lot of
allocated,
wishes.
yeah, we allocated $500,000 on,
You know,
in November. Yeah.
And the good thing is that with the bid that came in last year, we did not use 1 cent of, chapter 90 funding. So, we have upwards of, $700,000 left over for
Good.
in chapter 90 funding. We did get an allocation of 14,500 from the state, from something that was left over. And they sent us a little check and said, here, you're gonna get $15,000, and Lisa was very happy with that.
What, that's like 6
Okay.
feet? No.
And it went into the chapter 90.
Yeah. 109, what's the status with that?
So,
Yeah,
this summer.
we received an email this morning, which I was gonna bring up during the water, but we can talk about it now. from the federal government of funding that sources that could be cut or could be frozen.
Yeah,
And we were told to get in touch with our liaison that who's been assigned to our projects. You know, the $3.5 million, I think it was, we're not sure if it's frozen yet, or if it is, or it's going to be. But that's something myself and the town administrator have to follow up with. But this morning's email is a little concerning, that we received. I'll share it with you.
yeah,
Go back to the office so you can read it. And that could be also part of the Route 109. We just met David and myself met with all the DOT people last week, and they measured it up, and I'm talking about Route 109 now. And they're agreeable of what needs to be done. They're gonna, mill 1.5 inch.
Yeah.
And they're gonna pave all the different sections, and they're definitely trying to get it on this end of, they have one bid going out to end this fiscal year. But he definitely said it would be done, this summer. It would be done.
assuming funding's intact.
Obviously.
Assuming, yeah, the chaos in Washington doesn't trickle down.
If
I
it's
lost $1
not-
million towards a food bank potentially. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, we'd make no money off it. We give away food and
Yeah.
we got cut potentially $1 million if it goes forward.
I mean, if it doesn't, then that would change our thinking of what we have to do, because something has to be done this year. It has to be done.
Yeah, no, it has to be done. It's the biggest complaint we get.
Yep. It is.
But I'm loath to spend $1 million of our money if I can spend $1 million somebody else's money.
Yep.
Because that's basically 2 years worth of road funding that we put into that project. At
Yep.
$500,000 a year that we've been doing. So, yeah,
So the next page, here we are, and this is where we're gonna start talking about money.
Oh, good.
And the build up of the general fund.
yeah, let's,
This is the breakdown, if you follow it all the way across. Go down to the bottom of the page, if you look, last year in FY 25, there was 5 full-time positions
yeah,
assigned under the general fund. That's what the general fund pays for. It's 5 full-time employees. This year with that change, we're changing it to 6.60. And you can follow from FY 25 to 26 to see where it is. But we can get into the transfer station's not gonna change. Let's go back to, let's get to the budget. Go in the budget, and you can see the money itself. So the total personnel services in FY 25, the town meeting adopted was $424,444. With these changes, you're talking about $556,671.49 rounded up. So that's where you're saying you're 120.
Yeah.
That's before we go anywhere. That's before we start anything.
and that would be adding 1.6 FTEs.
But not body wise. It's not, you're not.
Work-wise.
Yeah.
Work-wise, so we're gonna put $120-ish thousand into the budget.
Yeah.
We're gonna use the people that are working water and sewer to do it, but they're covered. Yeah,
Covered.
and we'll reduce the water and sewer lines
Yeah.
commensurately.
Yep.
Okay.
And you could follow that through the other, but that's still not getting any more work done.
Right.
No, that's okay, baby.
So that's okay, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
figure out the
That's
logic
okay.
behind it.
That's
But
okay.
that does add one labor, right? Under the one.
No,
No, that's
No.
already there.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be additional. The
So,
64,000 would be additional for that.
so that
No, but
100
it doesn't get any more work done. It's just the work's done properly by the right person that's designated.
Correct, that's correct.
so there's so theoretically, and it's nominal, but there'd be a slight decrease in the other budgets.
Yeah, we're gonna see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
You can see that, yeah. All right.
what?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, I mean, 120,000 decrease for 3,200 homes is what, $35-40 a house, so, yeah, it's not a windfall to anybody, but it's accurate.
I mean, everything that's highlighted in the, is red is increases, that's just a part
Yeah.
of living going up, and that's just parts for, stuff that needs to go up, gasoline's going up, the, train, you can see one is the largest. Good.
I'm skipping ahead. Never mind. I'll wait.
Okay. There is an increase in the, that's on the second page,
What's a traffic line?
that's,
Lines in the road.
top line, just the center line.
Oh, the
Stop.
painting?
Yeah.
The painting.
Got a place in Quinn.
I would call that.
Yeah, we do most of that
You do that in-house?
We do the catch basin, we do the stop lines, we do all the crosswalks in-house, we do all.
Really?
In-house. The center lines, we've been. Where it was cut so many years ago, we had money in the paving, but been adding that little bit to it. If you remember, last year, we didn't do any.
Yeah.
Any what?
I'm sorry, this
Striping?
past year we did everything, the year before we did none, we didn't do very little, if any, center line paint.
Okay.
The biggest thing is the supplies and expenses.
I
which is,
saw that.
Going up, and it's just because of what it costs to run the garage itself. I think what everybody still has to understand, the mechanics at the DPW garage, they maintain everything other than fire vehicles. They maintain and service all the senior vans, cars, they change the oils, tires, whatever little tiny fixes in all the police cruisers. But they pay for them, they pay for everything but the manpower. They pay for, if there's if they need tires, they pay for them themselves.
Who's they?
Each department.
Okay,
So if the police need, if they service.
everything but the labor.
Everything but the labor.
Okay,
And we build that out to us. But I think the biggest thing there is the increase. Why did I think we're missing the page here
what?
in the budget? Yeah, we're missing the totals because there's an increase in the, you may have it, but I don't have it on my.
DPW grand total, the very
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah.
No, we got that. It doesn't,
No,
it
these
conveniently
get two more
didn't give us the final total across on the right, but.
I think is that snow and ice?
And
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Water and fields going up, stormwater, that we had to, it didn't go up, and we actually, it went up last year because of the DPW, we thought it was gonna go up because of the DPW complex itself, and it didn't, luckily. So everything's, cool with that, so we do pay our own, stormwater bills as much as anybody's disbelief, every building in town pays for just like everybody else.
Crazy making. But
Yeah.
where you gonna
We did
get
that,
it?
You just have to pass that on to, which you pass it on to the taxpayers anyway.
Yeah,
but-
it's 6 of one, half dozen of the
Yeah,
others, but
yeah.
it was a previous board felt it was very important to show that, and we show it, it's taxpayers still pay
I
for
have to
it.
think about it,
Yeah,
Yeah, no, they pay for all the water and sewer.
that they
bills.
use, I know,
So then that's in each water and sewer bill.
yep,
There's a line item for that.
but that makes more sense to me because. I don't know why, because people use it, you know what I mean? We use
Yeah.
it and the public comes in and uses, but the stormwater seems a little.
it's,
What,
yeah.
6 of one,
Yeah,
right? Okay,
It's,
So the
Yeah.
total budget itself is $1,020,975,049, and last year was $838,473. So that increase, as you can see, it's definitely the changing of the
the
salary.
guard,
it's the salaries, yeah.
So I think that's a discussion that, it's not easy to change it all back, but if it's not the will of the board at this time, I'm
what do you mean change it all back? We haven't even changed it.
just saying that this isn't, we've gotten this far before many years, and it's been like, the general fund can't just handle it this.
We're gonna have to see what's available.
Yeah.
That's what it always comes
Yeah.
down to.
Yeah.
Listen. This has to be done. It has to be done. Now, whether it's done today or tomorrow, it has to be done, right? Am I overreacting,
No,
underreacting? What am I doing?
no, I think that going forward, we have to deliver on what our budgeted approved numbers are, right?
Right.
And regardless of
I mean,
things,
this-
we've got some data now that we can use and leverage, like Jim's been able to do, so that we can.
It's not something you can do half now.
Yeah, that would be a step.
Well,
Yeah, if you've got,
I think we have to look at the
Have
numbers
a
and
2 or
there may
3
be
year plan,
more than one way
Yeah.
to get there.
Right.
a
And that's
2 or
what we
3
have to
year
look at.
plan.
I mean, if we got rid of half of it this year and half of it next year, yeah. But
That's the thing, so it's an active management of resources, right?
Yeah.
And prioritizing
Tired.
the
Tired of
work.
hearing about it.
yeah,
And I think Mike's comment was, and I'm not speaking for, but I think it was gonna say, as you add more staff, those numbers could change. That you could only
Right.
leave things, if you add that. full-
I think it might be better to look at trying to add 2 staff
and then see where those numbers
Yeah.
shuffle out at the end of another year. But having said that, we still have to go back and look at our revenues, but I fully support adding 2 staff if our numbers can support it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've known since shortly after I got here that there's been a staffing issue there.
Yeah.
Problem is the available revenues to fix it.
I get it.
Right.
And, I think, I think this is a very high priority. I know there's a lot of priorities.
I know,
We've
but
talked
this
with the
one-
chiefs, we've talked with other people.
I know,
about this,
but this
But
one
we need to
is
fix this.
beyond,
Well,
Yeah.
it comes
Why
down
is
to,
it beyond
yeah.
that?
because people complain about the way the town looks.
well, no,
I'm one of them.
this isn't going to change
No, but
any
if-
of that.
but
It's just
if you
gonna,
get one staff,
no,
I definitely.
Additional staff would help.
we're not getting additional staff. We're just reallocating existing
Reallocated
staff's
by
budget.
bringing,
one,
yeah.
But they're already doing that work, if I'm correct. That's why we're out of balance. If these staff weren't already doing the work.
but they're not.
Well,
Well, no, the work,
that's a different issue because we're saying that we're putting,
That's right.
right. So
No,
this,
they do.
this is not going to change any of how the town looks. This is going to,
I
I
think,
think,
no, we,
I think what Jim was saying, and I'm not gonna speak for you, but
Go
I
ahead.
think what you're saying is that basically there's more general fund work that's absolutely necessary than there's general funds
Funds.
in his budget
yes,
covered. And that has caused on a regular basis, him having to redirect staff because
Yes.
of priorities.
yeah,
So part of fixing that, if you were to bring on 1 or 2 additional staff,
yeah,
that would help correct that so that the folks that are supposed to be doing other duties, but because of
That-
priorities, haven't been able to get
yes.
them.
That's
this
what I
is
mean.
this bringing on 1.6 new staff? This is not bringing on
You're
any
both
additional
talking
staff.
about, it's two totally different.
Right,
things.
exactly.
It is.
Either it's a shift of resources to be allocated as the work has been dictating, right?
Yep.
And
Okay.
upping this and lessening that, or leaving the resource allocations as they are on paper, but then adding 2 more staff. on the
Bringing 2 more general
side and
fund
not
staff.
changing anything on the enterprise side.
I think the general
So there's
fund staff, adding 2 general fund staff will add more to the effective operation of the department,
It-
than just
well-
shifting numbers.
It would, but the question is then, would that solve our problem? Would we still go through, look at his allocation? And the fact that we're allocating percentages, they don't make sense exactly to me, but that's okay. We're right now allocating $124,000 of staff to the general fund. If we hired 1.6 more staff, are you saying my water people would never work in a snowplow again?
No, they're still gonna work on a snowplow,
At their
we're
percentage?
talking about
Yeah.
filling up potholes and daily.
Yeah, but they're not going to do more than.
But a water person.
Let's take
will
this,
do
Ron.
less,
Ron's doing
potholes,
25%
weeds.
sewer, 65% water, and then 10% general fund.
He would, that's an addition to 10%.
Right, and right now with that allocation, we're still $120,000 out of balance.
No, that's.
Right now,
You allocate.
Ron is doing nothing. Okay, okay. So if we keep the old allocation of 35, nothing, and we hire 2 more people, is there enough work for
Oh,
that?
absolutely.
Okay,
Yep, yep.
in the water department,
Yeah,
in the sewer where he's allocated.
but
I
does
guess
that,
oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead. But does that help us with the allocation, adding?
Just adding the 10%, the 10%.
No, adding
No,
adding 1.6 staff.
Adding,
Oh, yes, because then the people that are assigned to water, sewer and stormwater, they'll stick to.
so what you're saying is the reason it's the way it is right now is simply because, I don't mean to
Yeah.
minimize it. You just don't have enough people.
Of general fund
End of
staff.
story.
Yeah.
Because if you did, then they could, you're a water guy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, water guy, I need you to fill this pothole.
I can tell you that every single Thursday we cut grass. David cuts grass every single Thursday. And 2 of those people are those 25-35% that are being paid out of water and storm.
Got it.
Yeah.
And he's out there on the lawnmower cutting the grass. So when he goes back for that day, he puts in 8 hours in the ESS system that charges it to the general fund. So the ESS system doesn't care.
Where, yeah,
It
I get it.
only allocates to where you put your hours.
Okay.
Yeah, so the solution that you're proposing is just a reallocation. The solution that Ellen's talking about is additional staff.
Yeah.
Both get us to the same place.
Yeah.
One gets us a benefit out of it.
Right, so I say there's a couple different ways to approach this.
Which is, well, we're all rocket science here, which is the best way.
Don't you wanna change the allocation for the legal reasons?
Not
Yeah,
if we have enough staff to, we don't have to make the guy do the work. We'd have the guy stop doing the work.
but if you,
Yeah.
but no, yeah, if
You
he,
need to change the allocation, so you're not.
but no, the additional staff
I
is,
think what
John's
John's
saying.
asking is, I think he's correct. Why I'm asking for it, is to finally right the ship of something that's, I think has been incorrectly
Yes,
done.
but if you right the ship with staff,
Yep,
then there will be no
There won't.
cross pollination. So we will have fixed the problem.
correct.
You could keep the
If you-
2025 split, the
As
FY
long as
25
the people,
split.
as long as the water people that are currently working on general stuff are then assigned back to water.
Yes.
That should go a long way to righting
Right.
that imbalance.
So I think we're all in agreement here, well, not all. but
Yes.
we're in agreement is that the two staff, and then that would be almost 120 something, about
Yeah.
130,000, almost the exact same amount. And then you would revert back to everybody that were actually hired as
Yeah.
water and sewer technicians
Yes,
to do that type of work. And
Yes.
they would do that, you know.
What that wouldn't do is reduce our water, sewer, stormwater, whichever bills we're talking about here by
Right.
$120,000.
And the other
So
one
there'd be
is
no
really-
overall savings, but it would solve the math problem.
And it would allow these folks to spend more time focused on the water
Yes.
issues, which
yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's always plenty of work for the water employees to do.
And $124,000 divided over 32 households, 3,200 households is, like I said, $40 a household. So there's not this windfall of savings coming to ratepayers. If
No.
if we do the 26 allocation as is planned. So I kind of like the idea of adding the more staff if we can do anything to solve the problem.
So do I.
Because that gets us ahead.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Jill.
We don't know right now what deferred maintenance has not gotten to, right, over the last stretch of time on
Yeah.
water and sewer, because resources have been allocated elsewhere, right?
Right.
And how long is the grass gonna grow on the
Every-
general fund
listen,
side if we
Listen,
don't? right?
listen, the way it is now being understaffed, everything is impacted. It's everything.
Mhm.
The roads aren't taken care of with the potholes, the grass is not mowed. The trees on the side of the road, you can't walk down the street in this town. If I don't keep my eyes forward, I happen to look down, I'm gonna get a stick of bush in my face. I'm gonna get knocked out by something. You can't walk. We have no, not only do we have no sidewalks, we have no gutter.
Yeah.
To
And-
walk, you can't walk. I like to walk downtown from my house. I'm gonna get killed.
And we
But
have-
maybe
we
you'll
have
fix it
machinery
after
to do
that.
So
Yeah.
We definitely have the machinery for that to be done.
I get that.
Um,
You
Yeah.
don't have the manpower,
Yeah.
women
Well,
power,
to
whatever
assign-
power.
Yeah, and it's gonna come down to prioritizing, because I mean, Jody's going to be
Yes,
able to
it
come up
does.
with some money. But we've got the police request, we got the
I
HCA
get
going
it.
away, we got the HR request,
I
we got
get
the
it.
fire department request, we got this request.
Yeah.
And there's not gonna be an override to fund it, so it's gonna go, this is gonna go. How much extra funds are sustainable for us to have over the long run?
I get,
And out of all those things I just listed, and no offense, I mean, this problem is a problem. The other one are public safety issues. If this is a legal problem, it rises in magnitude than just an accounting problem, because I have those every day. But if this is a legal issue, that changes,
it's,
Yeah.
it checks a lot
So
of.
this is a legal issue.
Alleged, yeah, it sounds like
Yes,
it right now.
currently, yes.
I was under the impression, because I'd been told that as long as we were following our policies, we were in compliance, but that's not the case now, apparently. Yeah. So we're gonna have a lot more conversations about all of these.
Yes, a lot,
Yeah.
but this is a
Well,
great,
I want to
Wait.
see anything that's not a high priority for us that we've heard today, so a high priority eventually becomes
I know.
high priority
but
A,
we-
B, and C, and money stops at
but
something.
we-
Yeah. And Jody can work miracles, but
We'll
I'm waiting
figure
to
it
see
out.
her give me $1 million extra.
In the committee, the enterprise committee is meeting on this next Monday night to discuss it further, and they're gonna have a report for you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Going forward. Mr. Duffy knows all about it.
and if we did it the way you're proposing, there would be a reduction, nominal at best, but a reduction in rates.
Well.
Theoretically.
We get down.
Or a slower growth of
Slower.
rate. because we wouldn't have to grow, there'd be $124,000 we wouldn't need to have. And I'm just 6 of one half, yeah.
I
Yeah.
know, I got it.
So
What do you got?
I don't want to jump ahead, so stop me if I'm jumping ahead, but I just want to make sure you're gonna get to it. The next page about transfer station.
Yeah, so let me finish with the.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Go ahead.
There's one thing I have to bring up, the snow and ice budget, it's been decided that that's gonna stay where it is until something, last couple of years, it was locked out. There's been money left over. Some of it, I think you can see that the funds that you allocated from the snow and ice budget that was left over last year, it refaced the salt shed.
Yeah.
And I encourage you, if you haven't seen it, please go down and take a look. and
It's
see
beautiful.
The work the guys did there.
That's the only way the
And that was
transfer
all
station.
done.
Really?
Yeah.
They reinforced it from the inside and it's gonna be there for, I don't know how long it's been there, probably it's gonna be there another 15, 20, 30 years.
Yeah, put down more additional work. Significant
The
work.
only, the next thing is the streetlights. Just quickly,
I would just on snow and ice for 1 minute. Am I correct that if we were to raise that amount, we can never take it back down again?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you were to
Yeah.
drop,
Right.
if you raise
You
it
have
up,
to
you
budget
can't.
at least the
Yeah,
amount you
for the
budgeted.
prior year,
Yeah,
You mean forever?
forever,
yeah.
Why?
that's state law.
It's the state. Yeah, so that, because I was
No, we don't
really,
get snow anymore?
Deficit spend.
when I was on the, yeah. When I was on the finance committee, it used to drive me crazy because we actually had winter then. And we'd spend $400,000 on a snowstorm. And we'd budget $200,000 and we had a $200,000 problem. But I said, why don't we move it to 400 so we're safe? And then I found out, well, once you put it at 400,
Then that's it.
that's it forever. And boy, did that pan out for us. Okay.
so the streetlights, we have two types of streetlights. Actually, we have signal lights, we have the ornamental lights that is like, they pick them up like popcorn out there. The one a month gets picked up by some vehicle.
Yes.
Luckily, the police are very intent on, filing reports. So we go through the police, and it goes through insurance. We have like 3 of them that, whether at the time were never filed through insurance, and at some time eventually we're gonna have to rectify that problem. And
Pay out
the
of pocket.
source, I mean, they're $9,800 a piece. Those ugly, the ornamental.
Ornamental.
I can see,
$9,800 a piece.
I can see you're a
Yes.
fan, Jim.
The issue that we have right now is that we found out, I received an email from, one of our neighbors in Westwood who drove through, Route 109 and I'd like to share his email with you, but, wasn't too fond of the DPW. Anyways,
Why? What do you mean?
If it's the roads, tell them it's the
it's
state.
the roads, it's the.
Oh, everything?
And the signs and stuff like that.
Good for him.
He had told me that he had noticed that there, on Route 109 from the Medfield town line to Medway, there was 10. And I'm not talking about the ornamental lights.
You're talking about the real
The
ones.
neck ones that comes off the
Yeah, yeah.
telephone poles. He said there was 10 of them out. So as I'm reading his, I was happening to be at my son's house in Norwood, and I was driving back that night in the dark, and I actually started counting them. Well, I found 14 before I got to Village Street. And then-
Before you got to
before I got
Village Street.
Coming from Medfield. David, we
I
had.
didn't even know we had 14.
We had, because we're all out. David we had snow plow one night and, the guys had finished salting, so he sent the crews out and they actually counted, for upwards of throughout the whole town now. There's almost 50 of these new fluorescent, whatever they, is that what they?
LEDs.
LEDs have
LEDs.
blown out. Bob and I, we went to the manufacturer, they've only been in for what, 9, 8, 7, 8, 9 years?
Yeah.
7, 8, 7 or a year.
Well, not all of them.
They were
All of them were put in,
They're all
they're all
replaced,
replaced.
yeah.
They're all
Yeah.
changed
Yeah.
at one
They
time.
came in 2 weeks and replaced all of them.
Yeah.
When you say replaced them, did they just replace the heads?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
so they took off the power, was still there, and they have different wattages and whatever, and they put it on. So I did get a price from our contractor, I mean, as we take them down, we might be able to send them back to the manufacturer to see if we can get some sort of, a rebate on if there's any warranty left in them.
You're not gonna get any better dying direction, I assure you.
But for that many out, we gotta do something. Something has to be done. So we did get a quote from Dale Electric. That's our contractor who comes in and fixes all these lights that I just said that were out. He gave me a price of $350 something per light. And if you add it up, I think it's like 17,000 something.
That's all?
Yeah, but it's not in this budget. So, and then you had to add the detailed pay on that, which is gonna be close to probably that much too. So I briefly talked to the town administrator about this, is maybe going to the, finance committee in the very near future we don't know how much is left in the fund. Let me first go back. I gotta check with Lisa, how much is actually still in there, whether we burn all that money out, and that means
In what fund?
in the, street lighting budget.
We have a
expenses.
street lighting
Right
fund,
there, you're looking at, see, it says, repair signals.
repair signals,
Oh, there's money left over from future years?
past
Well, no,
years.
there's
Past years,
left
thank
over
you.
in FY 25.
Oh, okay,
And whatever's not there, we're gonna have to go and ask for a reserve fund transfer.
Okay.
To pay for these lights, but we gotta do it soon, I mean,
yeah.
because there's a lot of, I mean, it's unbelievable to see how many about, you just look, oh, there's another one, So, that's gonna be coming in the very near future. And I did ask for it to go up, because instead of every year going to a reserve fund transfer, if you're gonna keep on blowing 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 of them out.
Yeah.
That's why I asked for an increase of $7,000 in that budget.
Did you
How much
count
were
the
they
one,
for?
did you count the one across from Nate Maltinsky's house that's been
That
blinked,
knocked down, yes.
that's been on for about 12 years now? I mean, it's on 24/7?
No,
That's a different problem.
No, they knocked that over and
No,
the pole,
no,
he told me they took it away.
no.
He told me that the pole was taken away.
Mm,
Yeah, okay. All right. Transfer station.
All right.
oof.
There's a slight increase in the wages in that because we did change for this percentage. We did add a couple more
Yeah.
hours to one of the persons there. So the budget went from 168, you know, that might be my math.
I think you got $95,000 for diesel instead of 9,000.
There you go.
Like,
That's-
That's better.
okay,
So take 100 grand off, you're at
No,
170.
we're taking off,
84,000.
yeah.
It should be 1476.
Yeah. So in the transfer station over the years,
Well, there you go,
you
Jim.
cannot
That's
believe
kind
how
of fun
many
stuff.
increase with all the new seniors that are moving into Millis. That had their own transfer station and they still, even if they're moving into the Glen, they still buy a sticker there. They like the idea of bringing their trash. And even though they have pickup, recycling, mostly it's the recycling. We've seen an increase year over year, because the pickup, the hauling rates for private citizens, it's gone through the roof.
Yes.
And it goes
So
up.
have you thought about increasing your rates? 'Cause you-
That comes up, we have that general discussion.
Yep,
That'll be before May,
okay.
so that's pretty stagnant.
I'm down to just once every other week now because nobody's at home.
I mean, so-
And during the winter, I can get away with that. Summer, it's every week.
And this is just, this page here, when you will look, that's just the salary broken down and everything that Davey, but on the top page.
Yep,
That's how Davey does it, for me to figure it out, that's transfer station. So we're doing water now, so, the best news that I can give you about the water department is that, we're all doing our jobs. The people that are assigned to the water department. And the reason how I can prove that is that we haven't had any violations in the previous year or the years before that. The DEP, I mean, they check every single thing, every report that we need to send in every month. Every test that Ron and his staff do, they check that quarterly. And if you don't send something in, where is it? We've had a large increase in the lead and copper sampling for residents. And the people, where we used to test for lead and copper was once every 3 years. And last year we did it 3 times in 1 year. Because of the putting on a plant at the, at wells 1 and 2, because of the treatment that we use. And the people were super, you allowed us to give them a $50 gift card. That we always send, we send the results, we send a $50 gift card, so it's been to Cravings. So the next go round, we'll go to someplace else. We did, Ron and I filed for a where we did a full year and the lead particle samples are well below the standard. They're way down there. If we didn't have to, we won't have to do it once.
Oh, because of that? Cool.
So that's instead.
I like that.
And being below standard is what you want in this
Yes,
case.
you do.
Yeah, I'm just
You want to
making
be
sure.
substandard.
Yes,
Substandard.
We, just a quick update on the PFAS plan. Everything was,
yeah,
I reported to you, we saved that $100,000 with our goof up on the, well, I messed up on posting it in the newspaper. We saved over 200.
the bids came in lower by,
Correct.
yeah,
$184,000.
clever plan.
Yeah.
Yep,
But it's not a goof up, it was a well thought out strategy.
yep.
Now, the only thing is, like I said, until we find out what the federal government's doing, is that 3.5 million?
Yeah,
I would still, I'm going on the aspect that.
So am I.
And because we're getting ready to spend it.
So am I.
yeah,
But we'll find all of that out before. But it was appropriated, the right amount, 7.1 was appropriated, then we went back last November to up the contingency
Yeah.
by 180-some thousand.
when will we know about that $3 million grant, government?
I'm gonna forward you.
Okay,
I think a little more explanation in there that you'll
Okay.
understand. You'll probably understand better than I do. But it's scary.
it is, yeah.
The only thing that with these PFAS plants, I mean, we've done nothing else in the water system.
Yeah,
Changing out water mains. We have a big deficiency on Route 109 from the Medway Town Line to almost past Tractor Supply, even going further down. And as more and more developers develop up in that area, that water main, it's old. It's probably been here since the town was here. And it definitely was it was always planned to have that replaced. So I'm gonna ask for, we're gonna try to do it within budget for the, we'll get it done by this May. We're gonna look at water, sewer, and stormwater of things that have been pushed aside because of such a large increases in the water rates due to the PFAS plant. They're gonna look, the last time we did a 10-year study on water was back in 2010. And in that, we've done some of that work, but not enough of it. So we're gonna try to do that in the budget. And we'll let you know. So this page here, this is the breakdown. You can see that.
Can't you get something from any of the developers? I know some of them haven't come
Yeah.
before any boards yet.
I think that we do.
Do we?
The last large development that was built, Gateway to Millis, he gave us $2,000 for each unit for.
Oh, right.
Sewer.
Okay,
The next development that's gonna be built, if the Tresker property.
Yeah.
If that goes through, he's gonna build us a new sewer station.
yep.
That's gonna.
And
save-
Mark Howe's gonna be there too.
Yep, and we already, we've got $25,000 from the assisted living on Bridge Street. They gave us that for the upgrade of the sewer station.
Okay,
So we
you do it.
twist them up.
I know you do. Stay on the planning board.
Yeah, these numbers don't look right either. How does that look like? 3.95.
3.95, why doesn't it look right?
Because we lowered it.
Oh,
Maybe
Okay.
I was printing it, I put the wrong one in. Let's go to the page with the prices, the money, if you want to. Hey, look, let's not forget, I think you've been told by everybody that there's no contract with everybody, that's SEIU, the staff
Yeah.
work at the DPW and ASME that's, in the town. But you can see, we lowered the price of the, so the wages have gone up. Because you'll see in the sewer, they went down. Because the percentages, remember the very first one, we looked at the percentages.
Yeah.
The sewer ones went down and water actually went up, so that's probably why that stayed the same. This does not, these are the long-term principal, the debt, it's gone down some, which is good. And the short-term interest has gone down significantly. So the overall budget for the water was, last year was 2,139,409. This year, we're requesting 1,879,238. So that should help with, some of the rate increase that, because of the people. Any questions with?
No,
No.
nope.
So. So you can see down at the bottom, the total you can see in FY 25, there is 3.05 people assigned to the sewer department. And now we're requesting 1.9 percentage wise, and reflects it in the salary line item.
And this is based on your model, not
That's
the
on
model of adding 1.5, one
No.
additional
Correct.
people.
Correct.
The other
We
model
did
we
that.
discussed, yeah.
We may have to move them,
Yeah.
them back up. The sewer, you know, we're, again, like with water, there's many reports that have to be done with the sewer department, through the DEP, with the Charles River. So we're doing our job because we have no complaints, no, written up. We've never been written up by them, so. And then I list the reports that we have to do every year.
I go once a month. I'm not letting us get written up, I can assure you.
What's your favorite?
It's my favorite committee.
So here's the salary breakdown for the total. Last year we had for 297.40. And this year it's 224,980. That's mostly the salary breakdown is in
Reading
the
ahead.
clerical and on the general fund, the staffing.
Yeah.
Next stormwater, funds, I'm sorry, the expenses. No large increase, only private expenses again because of pump costs.
Yep,
Ridiculous. So the overall budget from last year was 1,340,952. This year, we're asking for 1,423,795. And again, that's because of the increases you can see because of the expenses, line items. And the Charles River costs went up almost $80,000. And that's the cost of the sewage because of the new customers we've had. We're sending more sewage to the.
right, but each person should be paying a little bit
Absolutely. And that,
less.
I'm sure exactly the overall sewer budget for all the
Right.
people sending that is.
Yes, that's a good thing.
Yeah. And lastly, it's.
I'd like to suggest we have Jim in for a municipal moment about
I know.
stormwater. Because
We will.
everybody wants to know why we're taxing rain.
Yes.
And this is a horrible name for this thing.
I know,
Secondly, it's not
it's a
tax,
misnomer.
but you gotta explain what it is so people understand it.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Let's use words like phosphate, whatever it is, phosphorus.
Phosphorus, yep,
Yeah,
Dirty word, phosphorus.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
of
it's a phosphorus load tax.
it. And if somebody can tell me what a phosphorus load is.
yeah.
Get rid of,
Everybody,
get rid of, what do you call it? Fertilizer, and you're gonna improve that.
Yeah. So, last year we had 3 full-time FTEs and now we're reducing it to 2.45 FTEs and that was in the.
Yeah.
Stormwater, you can see, this is like a 4 or 5 page report. I work with Kleinfelder for much money as we pay them.
Yeah.
They do this every year for us. That's why it's 5 pages. And one, it is interesting reading. It shows everything that we do and I would encourage everybody to take a quick look at it. And sorry about this one, Jody, this is, I couldn't make this any bigger than this one.
It's fine.
fine,
I got the gist.
Yeah. Again, you can see the reduction of 3,000 in salary,
Yeah,
the overall budget.
it's $12,000
Yep.
total on expenses and, yeah.
The big thing that I don't have ready yet, we still have to work is the indirect costs. That, I mean, we added a 2.5% increase. Usually the finance office will look at, if we keep that 2.5% that's already in the 3 enterprise budgets going back into the general fund, or where it could be. And how much, again, you're saving.
Yeah.
I'm not a one who's saving the rate payers, but what the overall cost is. I know
Yeah.
Joe's working on, when the budgets are done, if somebody's budget goes up by 5%, we're only asking 2% of what's that 5, 2.5% of that 5%. Is it equal to what actually those funds are? So again, we usually put that, well into the budget season.
Yeah.
Are we good?
I think we have.
Who?
All right. Now we've made up some time.
Oh, my God. Well, we'll save it for later. We got plenty of time
We
to
gave you an
yell.
hour and you started a half hour early
We
and
got
so
plenty
you're,
of time to yell at each other.
this is phenomenal. Stop, no one's yelling. Okay. So think about how you can express your municipal moment
Yeah.
about
Well, that's
stormwater.
not, the next one's,
Yeah,
we
no, but I
already
want to,
well,
well,
we're gonna have you in, maybe the next one, cause I'm telling you, this is the most talked about.
It is.
Stormwater is the most talked
We have
about
2 phone calls today about it.
everywhere.
Why am I paying for rainwater and I don't have a catch basin? Because
I know, cause that's not what it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's not rainwater.
I know.
Who's next?
All right, who is next? Finance,
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 yeah.
Jody. Ooh, exciting. Get out of here.
Executive offices, town buildings, human resources.
Two departments left.
Yeah, we're cruising. So as the finance director, all the departments that fall under, the finance office are accounting, treasury, collections, as well as the assessor's office. So I'll just kind of roll through those.
Roll.
Accounting, on the accounting side, we're basically looking at contractual increases. Again, some members of the team are part of the SEIU, so that COLA piece is not in here, just like everything else. Other than that, salaries are pretty straightforward. Expenses are pretty static as well. The only thing, because we have some additional staff, we bumped up our training meetings and dues by about $1,000 total. Other than that, we're pretty flat to last year. So that's on the accounting side. We'll move to the assessor's office.
Let's go ahead and
next.
see, what are you gonna,
Are you in finance committee or in
I
finance?
don't know where I am. I'm finance committee. Is that
Wrong section, finance department, next one down.
Finance Department.
So you'll be pleased, though, you have 1 page.
Okay.
With no numbers.
We do that again? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So then you have to go back to the beginning of your book for assessors.
Yeah, you have to go back.
So the different departments
Oh, okay.
within the finance division.
Yep.
Okay.
So then on the assessor side of thing, again, same thing for salaries, contractual, just waiting on the SEIU and others to settle. The thing to note here is, are really only 2 small things. One, again, with the overall IT strategy of pulling
Yeah,
in,
I see it.
Yeah,
related services per department. So that will be an increase there, but it's moved
That's
else
your-
from elsewhere. And then the only other thing that we want to get on the radar is the cyclical inspections that are going to be looked at next year as part of FY 27 and 28. It's just something to note that we'll budget for in the next 2 years as part of this budgeting process.
What are you calling it?
Just annual and cyclical inspections. So it's basically going around and making sure that our valuations are up to
Oh,
date and that sort of
okay.
thing.
do we do that through free cash usually as a warrant article, Scott? Again, it keeps the budget stable,
Yep,
you
yep.
know?
Yeah, we have done that through
Yeah.
warrant articles in the past.
Yeah, because that way it keeps your budget, because it certainly isn't popping out in the
Right,
previous year's
right.
budget, yeah.
Just to avoid spikes every couple
Yeah.
of
Right.
years.
Right, so again, really no changes to this budget either, just with the internal move from one budget to another. See, so on the treasury and collection side, if you want to move down there.
Right, kind of school just to look, but there's nothing.
Nothing there. See that email? I just
Actually,
you?
yeah, we have.
The numbers?
Oh, yeah.
And efficient.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I'm sure. it's different to you.
I know, right?
Why can't I find that? Did you find it?
Treasure collector? No,
Yeah, it's there.
it's there, right before Tri-County. Third, fourth, fifth from the end, it looks like.
Oh. All right. Got it.
So again, kind of the same deal here, contractual increases for salaries, and on the expense side. They added $1,000 to meetings. Other than that, everything is pretty flat from 2025.
Moving forward with these font 3 graphs, can that not be better? I have a whole sheet of paper and you can't see these numbers.
I don't know what you're talking about. I got them.
I know, but come on.
345.
No, I know, but it's, there's
346.
just no,
I think it's the stuff, it's print the page.
The notes on the
It's the note on the side. The notes on the sides go below it. You can read the page.
oh, really?
Well, we're gonna have to have a conversation.
That's what you're
We're
going,
gonna have to have a conversation, aren't we?
all right, go ahead, I'm sorry, Jody.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a whole lot to report on the treasury accounting or assessing side of
Okay.
things.
Yeah.
I will say that we just kind of on another front, I don't know if I'm jumping around here, but from a debt management perspective, we're just still looking at current debt and managing those payments, both principal and interest. We will have some more debt coming online related to the PFAS and the well. But we're still working through that with the treasurer, looking, to see if we're gonna do a ban before we go out for a general obligation bond for the longer duration.
Just 1 second on that one, because people are listening. That is not an override debt. That is paid through enterprise funds.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's not a tax increase debt.
Correct. And the only other, so you just mentioned Tri-County, so I know that, Craig, you've been involved with that along the way with the building project. We just got an update last week, was it?
Yeah, I think it was like 300,000.
Right. It was about, the debt was going to be about 383. But because of, the way that the funds were managed over there, I talked to the business manager, said he did a great job over there with just some investments and able to get a little bit more return
Yeah,
on money.
I saw that.
All of the local communities had a return of excess. So that's part of the, the annual review with the DOR. You have an E&D, which is an excess and deficiency within your funds. And because they had an excess, they were kicking that back to each of the communities. So we reduced our debt assessment for FY 26 by about $43,000. So that's where we landed around the $330,000.
I think that is, when he told us, I think that was like 75% or 80% of the funds. There'll be another borrowing that
Yep.
comes out.
Correct.
Yeah.
This borrowing was, I think, 140 million that we did this month.
Yeah.
January.
And when it's all said and done, it's gonna work out between 10 and 12,000 per kid that attends. So whatever our percentage is what we owe.
We do have an increase in enrollment by about 11 students.
Yep,
So we'll keep an eye close to that and keep tracking it as enrollment and as enrollments become available. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else until I get to some of the executive office.
oh, that's the next agenda?
I think that's the last one.
Right.
So Madam Chair, I'd probably request just a 5-minute recess.
Great.
There's just a
So
couple
we
of
can go
documents I
talk about
have
how
to
the
get.
page is laid out.
That's right. And then we can do the last couple of.
Okay, awesome.
Perfect. I have to get some documents as well.
Really?
No.
I don't know how- I don't know how I listen to you, why I listen to you, honestly.
No,
Oh, good, Kevin's back.
I am back.
Yes.
No, this executive office is the
Oh,
extra
okay,
stuff.
no, I just missed
If
that.
you go under select board, you'll find the stuff that we worked on.
There you
It
go. Okay.
just doesn't have that
Gotcha.
one.
All right,
That makes sense?
yes.
Okay.
Well,
Just gonna reform.
everybody's taking a break.
How's it going?
It's good.
It's
Very
good?
Yeah,
We're running over an hour ahead of schedule.
That's good.
it's good, very good, very good.
Victorious. Is this anything that needs anything? She still didn't use anything, but okay. Cool.
Since, you know,
Yeah,
everyone's.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Those two stood out. Patient maintenance building. People around. So. Or were you asking for extra? He actually maybe yes. They're trying to fix the situation once and for all. Football. Because it's just annoying, it's creating a lot of extra admin. Well, they're using that. Right. Should be, that's exactly what they're. That knowledge. Not in those words, but that's exactly what I. And my take is I'm not getting more about it, so that I said it before. This is your deal, and there it is.
Oh, right.
So I'm working with Denver. Yeah, there's a woman there. Which we just found out about. Yeah. So now let's sit here and say, it's assisted law, but it's gonna be higher and better. So this appeared. Oh, yeah. So right now, I can't really, so I'm just getting this. So I'm gonna do sister, like. You're treated physically more. So it's divine trust. I could be going, I could be in this. I was just saying, yeah, I can talk. Something. She's so where did she live? Not from that too. No, we should just travel. She has been very hands on. I get it, logistics, her job. The accounting stuff goes along with it. It's not different. Oh, well, he's been pretty good. I handle the discretionary living, you know, it's flow. So that gives you. He pays. Pay all the bills. Yeah. It's just something that. So, hey, Erin.
Yes.
Did a nice job backing in your car.
Are you being facetious?
No.
Okay.
I thought he might be here.
Oh,
I'm like, now I see you and I'm like, no, it's.
I just take his car when he can have the kids. Yeah. Thank you. You know those newfangled guides that they have at Helpful?
You there, show, gonna beat your elbow. I have 10 garage.
Oh, yeah.
30 years old,
I bet that's helpful.
but not here. So, this is the positions. So with this balance, if that balance, then he has to go to SAP. Apartment yourself or? Yes, yeah. Someone? No, so he has a bathroom, I don't. They'll have a kitchen. For you. Okay, okay, yeah, there we go. So I need to find a for a baby grand. You never give it away. We can't even give it away. Someone took the keys off of theirs and made something with it, and I thought it was the most beautiful thing. It was like, Michael told me that we're putting some mattresses on top of it. Run it and jump with it. Stop. Leave it. I was like, I don't know why you're worried.
So excited about this last one.
You are or not?
Only because.
Well,
Wait.
in one level, we're listening.
It's good.
On the level. This is on the level. The floor is. So it'll be. So. Is that a broker? And then our plan is to replace it with a governance feels tight, so it's. So. Yeah, I agree. So you have to do this now.
Vincent,
Everything.
he just, I don't know what he's doing. I think he's promoting his own company.
So that's.
He is an app designer of some sort. So he did another post about a week ago. Well, folks. Just wasn't.
I think we're in. I think we're
I
in.
think we're, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, let's go back.
Oh, no, I have to look.
It's 10 years.
So.
And this. The change of the fire. It's not here. So all the stuff. Those are the kinds of trade-offs that we do. What you're taking is.
Well, okay, so look down.
Oh, I see.
So, but you're right. This
We are unmuted.
Okay, so we're at the very last, presentation. So we have executive office, town buildings and human resources.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll begin here. I'm sure, Karen and Jody will be, filling in pieces of this as we go. The first form in your packet, actually, you see is Form 2. Those are wages, salaries. Those are based on contracts and or the pending, SEIU, contracts. So those are the current numbers. If you look at the, staffing, levels are, unchanged.
It's under select board?
It's under
Select
select,
board.
just select
Yeah,
board, yeah.
select board.
Okay, bold, please.
I know.
So executive office, I put kind of.
Which is after recreation, because it's the opposite of recreation.
Those kind of things.
Trying to make it.
Sorry, carry on.
Okay. So,
Coffee away too early.
under the budget, again, you'll see the salaries and wages, which again encompass both, employment agreement, SEIU, and, the personnel plan. And again, later during the budget process, the board will be voting upon a COLA for the personnel plan. Usually do that in March. Getting down to the expense line items, let me just try to note some of the changes here. Karen, if you want to touch upon the change to supplies, I think it's supplies and expenses, is that helpful?
Sorry.
Yeah,
No, not supplies and
No,
expenses, the ones
telephone.
below under telephone.
yes, yes.
So there is a dramatic change there, a dramatic drop. We're moving all of the phones over that we cover currently to the IT budget. With the exception of, Bob and I and Mike have cell phones that are town cell phones. Those will remain in our budget.
But all the phones part of the TPX system.
Yes, the main phones will, but those three specifically come out of our budget, if that makes sense. So you'll see a huge drop there,
Okay,
which is good.
And I think the
This
next,
is a reallocation though.
It's a
Right,
reallocation,
it's not an
a huge
increase.
drop, but
Anything.
it's a reallocation to another.
but it should help us out.
And the
Okay.
IT budget came in.
what about the annual audit?
Yep,
That went up a little bit.
Yes, so I think we talked about this a little while back. The cost of the audits have gone up exponentially. We've talked with our audit firm and they're having a much harder time getting qualified auditors in and that is the increased price for the audit. They tried to initiate that last year. And we talked them into a more modified amount for last year because of the short notice they gave us. It's something that we're talking about whether we want to go out to bid or not. I know we've been happy with the auditor. They've been, timely, provided some good recommendations. But
Can you go out to bid anytime?
We can go out and see if there's anyone that can provide us a better price.
With a jump like that?
Yeah, well,
and
You gotta go out to bid.
how long have
that's
you
what I
been
told-
with them?
Well, quite a while, but it's been under different companies, so the company keeps
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
bought out, and we have different teams that come in.
I
Okay,
mean, mine was flat for the last 3 years. So.
Yeah. So he said specifically the municipal ones have been difficult, as far as getting municipal
Takes a
auditors.
different style of auditing.
So we want to give you a heads up on that
Okay.
and certainly they work under the direction of the board. So if the board would like to go out to bid, Jody and I can work on putting it out and see what we get out there.
I would like to go out. to
I
bid.
would like to go
It's,
to bid.
it's ridiculous. It's doubled
Yeah, in
2
4
years.
Well, it went from,
34,
It went from 41, right, up to in 2 years.
Well, no, 35. It went from 35.
4 years, it's gone from 35.
Yeah,
Right.
yes, it's doubled in 4 years.
65 this year.
Yeah.
nice business you got
Yeah,
going there that you can do that. Okay.
Yeah.
I think some of that also had the fact that the smaller companies are getting bought out by the bigger.
Yeah, I get
companies.
that.
And there are less companies out there
I
that
get
do this
that.
work.
True.
So those are all the, that is the biggest individual change in the expenses.
Yep.
So we will look to go
Yeah.
out to get bids. Are there any other questions on the expenses?
Nope.
No.
Okay. So moving to above level service, so this is, actually, do you want to take that up now or go back to it after?
You want HR?
Yeah,
I'd say it's right there, and I'm
I
looking
know, I
at
don't mind.
it. We know how long it takes to find these pages.
So-
This hell of a day.
so,
Yes, it is. I think so. Should be.
so as the board knows, we did have a thorough, study and
Yep.
review done by the Collins
Yep.
Center.
And the presenter is gonna
Mary Accardi will
come
be in.
into our meeting on the tenth
Yep,
Yes.
next Monday, she'll come in to talk about the review in detail.
and talk about why we're doing this.
And we do have that report, which
Yep.
I believe is online.
Yep.
For folks to look at. The key recommendations of the report, they outlined a number of, additions they feel are needed. They felt strongly that the town was, woefully understaffed when it came to, overall human resource management, because they were one of the few towns of our size they were aware of that did not have a person 100% dedicated to human resources, especially with the size of the town, when you include both the municipal and school operations. So they've recommended that the town bring on a full-time human resource director, a new school HR generalist position to be located at the school department, upgrade the existing benefits coordinator position to a municipal HR generalist, and to, as part of that, bring on a part-time department assistant to help do the tasks that our current benefits administrator is already doing, but would not be able to as a full-time HR generalist. And also to review, expand and alter the duties of the assistant town administrator with greater focus on communications, townwide communications, as well as project oversight. So we've looked at, in conjunction with the Collins Center, we did look at the different pay ranges for these types of positions. I know right now Bellingham, which is a little larger than us, they are advertising for a position between 100 to 130,000. But I think Mary, in my discussions with her, recommended somewhere in the range of 95 to 120. So that's what I'd be asking the board to consider in
Now,
that range.
this full-time human resources director is going to be housed in town hall.
That's correct.
Okay.
But will oversee both school and
Yes.
that will be up here, under the
Yes,
umbrella of school and town. and
They
that's
will
an important-
oversee
that's
the
an important
school
piece that
department
we are drastically missing right
and
now.
town, yes.
Drastically, that's not the right
Right.
word.
So
It is
they would be they would oversee all the day-to-day
Yeah.
human resource operations of the town.
Yes,
And
then
what
the
is the,
position- I'm sorry. go
what
ahead.
is the benefits coordinator going from, it's like 50?
but hold on, so
Yeah.
that, so we've established that.
Yes.
Now go to the next one, new school HR,
HR generalist.
yes.
So this will be generally full-time at the school
Blah, blah, blah,
department.
blah. John, look at me. Thank you.
Wow.
We'll have coffee tomorrow. Go ahead.
So this would be a full-time HR generalist position.
Yep.
Located at the school department. I mean, they would come over here occasionally, to meet.
Now, the school right now, do they have an HR dedicated person?
They
Zero.
do not have a full-time HR dedicated.
It was the finance
They have-
director, correct? Or no?
Who
Nobody.
takes care of that at the school?
Currently, we do not
Technically.
have any positions in this entire town that are.
It was Terry.
100% HR.
Right, Terry, it is one of.
It was part of his job, but it wasn't.
I know it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's one of the dozen hats that Terry wears.
I heard, I
at
know.
the Schools,
I
the business
understand.
manager. And also they have their own kind of payroll processor over at the school that works with our payroll administrator.
Okay,
That's basically the extent of their human resources. So
okay,
any issues are basically dealt just generally by their management staff as
yeah,
best as they
they're not
can.
done.
Just interject for a quick second here. So for the HR generalist, so what we're looking for is, so sort of what Victoria is doing right now.
Yes,
She's doing the benefits management, which needs far more.
yes,
That would rise to the level of HR generalist that's here, which would go up to probably around 62,000.
But full-time.
It is full-time.
She's full-time already. She's
Yeah.
35
okay,
hours.
but hold on.
So
And-
this would be the equivalent at the school. So we would have the director and two equivalents here, follow?
So Victoria stays that here?
Yes.
And she actually takes on more of the HR piece of it, which is
Yeah.
desperately needed.
And then her counterpart would be at the school?
Right, which we don't have
Housed at the-
anybody doing that right now. So that's what we're trying to clean up the mess.
Okay, I love that.
And then sorry, Mike, and then the part-time department assistant would take on some of,
No, we go to the, hold on. Go to the upgrade existing. Oh, that's
Right,
her.
that's
Those
what
two
we're
are together, got it. And then the final piece of the puzzle,
It's just a part-time, probably 16 to 18 hour a week person just to handle bills.
to be
as-
housed where?
in
Here.
in our office. Bills and minutes. Minutes,
18 hours a week.
minutes for the select board and
Question, we
capital
don't have room
committee.
for all these people in our office.
Do we have room for these
We
people?
can make it work.
We can make it work.
You give us the people, we'll make it work.
I'm sure you will.
Trust me.
Um,
I can sit at my desk,
Bob
I don't
loses his
care.
office.
Huh?
Bob loses the private office. The HR gets a private office. Don't tell Bob.
So I basically costed out what this would, the net,
Yeah,
Yeah,
net change.
but I thought, hold on one second. I thought we were talking about, I could be completely wrong. But I thought we were talking about maybe a payroll-y person from the school coming over to be in our finance,
That's part of what the study recommends,
but
but that has nothing to do with the financial.
That's
piece of
nothing
it.
to do
That's-
with this.
piece of it.
That would be,
payroll.
that would be net
Okay, fine.
neutral.
Fine.
Budget wise, and it'd be part of the school
Okay.
budget. So the overall estimated annual increase would be about $189,000 for the full department.
And this will put us into better position, well, in a union negotiations would fall under this new person.
Yes.
Well, you'd obviously be there and school superintendent, and then there'd be, just any HR issues that come up,
Yeah.
and obviously job.
A lot of
descriptions.
HR issues have to be addressed like right away.
Listen,
No,
They
I'm-
cannot be managed over weeks.
the biggest thing that came out of the report, it's online, read it.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that came out of the report is how did we manage as long as we managed with the people that we had in place? How did we take care of all of our employees? Not well, I mean, in my book, I mean, there were things we could have done better. She was just amazed at how both the school and the town managed this long with no HR person in the school, a part-time here, with the size of our workforces.
Yeah.
And she was, read the study, it was very
And just to
interesting.
point out a couple of the things, I totally understand that 190,000 is a sizable hit to the budget. But I think in a lot of the conversations we've had with her is some of the things we have not had proper time for to delve into deeply is looking at other options as part of our health insurance program that could save
Yeah.
money. Other programs we could initiate to lessen our liability. Grants and other things that are not applied for by the town because a lot of the administrative staff are out straight trying to deal with personnel issues that really should be dealt with by someone that's totally specializing in going to all the classes, going to all the seminars.
Yeah,
And that's the concern when you have people that wear too many hats.
not to mention that we don't hire very well. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Well, I think this will streamline
Yeah.
and again, when people are trying to do a dozen different things at the
Yep.
same time, things do fall through the cracks. So that
Yeah.
is a problem.
We do things, we're not deliberate because we don't have time to be deliberate. So we hire, you want, this is what you want, okay. And
I just wanted to add, Ellen, so I'm sure there are people in this room who are already talking about, the fact that my job is going to change. Bit as assistant town administrator, 90% of my time is spent dealing with personnel issues, not
Anyway.
dealing with any of the other things that I was put in place to be helping out. And that just is what it is, because
Yep.
there aren't any other people to do it. We made the change when they changed us to ATA, / HR. We needed to do something. We had nothing. We've made great strides, but we are a long way from where we need to be.
Yep.
And I encourage anybody, like I said, to read the report or to look at the way the world is now. We should just have a personnel director. That's how it rolled. Everybody did that. That's how it was. It is a different world now. We have there's a lot of legal implications to some of these things that can cost the town millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. There are a lot of pieces of this. And I know I'm preaching to the choir with
You are,
you, because you know how much
Yeah.
time I'm
Well,
spending on that. every
I
hour.
was at the presentation with her, the
Yeah.
woman that,
Yeah.
grant money, by the way.
They
Grant
did the
money.
study. Yeah.
Pay somebody to interview.
No, no,
We
no,
don't
no,
do-
no,
we
no.
don't have
No, no, no.
recruiters.
No, I wish.
No, no,
No, that's part of it.
no.
And I would still have, obviously, I would still have pieces in it, but there are huge pieces, again, project management things, grant funding, the things that we just can't do because literally the majority of my
I
time
can-
is taking up either hiring, interviewing, or dealing with major personnel issues. And
Yes.
it's the truth.
It's more than a full-time job. We really need 2 or 3 people, but we're gonna start with 1.
We didn't know, we didn't know.
We
didn't
break this
know,
out,
because
it'll
it
probably
changed
be
so
enough.
It will be.
Yeah,
I, once we get it.
Yeah.
And I could do whatever, but I think
I know.
it's a disservice to the town not to have somebody.
I feel
watching the
confident this
shop
will
for
pay
that
for
stuff.
itself
Just,
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
so why? This
I
is
mean-
going to pay for itself in hiring properly, not giving away the house. I don't want to say that, but I'm gonna say it. We do things when you're short-staffed, you don't have the time to consider and take time. You don't have the time. All right, you're available, hired. We have no, that we don't have the personnel. We don't have the personnel. You want,
I mean, come sit
I
in the
could see
office
your
and
face a
anybody
minute
can
ago
sit
when
and
we
see
just
what we're
talked,
doing.
talked about $180,000, but you're gonna fall off your chair. This is the reaction we get. At some time, it's gonna come, I'm gonna tell you this right now. It's gonna come back to bite us if we don't fill this and do it right.
Yeah, forget about the hiring.
Long
It's the
overdue.
liability issues that we're facing. I can't,
Read the report.
I deal with it every day at
Eye-opening.
work. The HR department, a good quality HR department protects you from personnel issues that $189,000 tack on a 0 if you really mess it up. And then,
More than that.
yeah,
And I guess that question becomes is how many private companies with a $40 million annual budget don't have an HR department?
Yeah.
And
Listen,
that's-
I didn't have one. And, we did all of our own whatever, and you can't operate that way.
yeah, you're 90,000 less than
Not
what I got for
today.
the same size.
It's a very
organization.
different
Right.
employee
Yeah.
pool today. If you know anything, I mean, of course you do, you know what's going on out there. Very different. Very, very, very different.
And just to note, I mean, the consultant we had that did this report has like over 30 years of experience in human resources in the municipal sector, and they'll be here at your next meeting.
Yeah, she will be here,
And
so
to answer questions.
I invite you all to come. She's wonderful, and like I said, grant money, she did a great job. And she will be here to present, and it's, eye-opening to say the least.
When is she planning on presenting?
Monday night,
7:15, next Monday.
Monday.
Come on down,
Meetings.
tune in.
We got a lot of meetings, a lot of meetings. Buckle up, bucko.
Today, Wednesday, Monday.
Can you confirm if, board is named? I just did a search.
So right now, Lauren, it's in the minutes from the last meeting. That's when the
In the
report
board
was presented.
package.
So it's in the board's packet. It's not pulled out separately
We
yet.
should probably put it in someplace as a standalone document.
I think, yeah. I think we'll get it on a link tonight. We'll put it
We'll
on,
get it on,
so that it's on the home.
But
Get
it
it
is in the
on.
board package.
get it on
Page
before Monday,
40,
before Monday.
100.
It's, I said this the other night, I don't know where I was, but I said the other night, of all the money that we spend, and it's always grant money, by the way, for these kinds of studies and reports, it's always grant money. No, we should open with that, but it is.
So it's
This
very
report
obvious, but it's there.
was worth every penny we didn't spend on it. This report is,
Yeah.
is good. Some of the reports I read about like energy and he spends grand money, I'm like, okay, it's a little dry, but,
And I just, sorry,
this report's phenomenal. Go ahead.
I was just gonna add that one of the first things when I started to do the HR is we didn't know, right?
Yeah.
So we started working on stuff, we started working with the school, we realized that we had some major deficits going on, and worked. So when we saw this grant opportunity, Victoria was part of it, I will, give her kudos. Two of us said, oh my God, can we please do an HR study? Because there are huge pieces that we're clearly missing, but we were kind of thrown to the wolves. And you're right, I think this
one-
has proven to be a great.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna bring us closer to the school, which we want more than anything. Hiring practices are gonna be codified in some way that makes sense. And
And the last piece I just wanted to add too is that from the get-go, starting not this past summer, the summer before, we started meeting with the school. We've been meeting with the school. We've been trying to find ways to streamline, to find efficiency. This has been going on for a long time. So they are on board as well. We all said, oh my gosh, we need help. Like, this has got to get better. But we are trying really hard because we want this truly to be a real collaboration. Good word. Thank you. Okay, that's all.
it's gonna be great. Go ahead, Lauren.
Is the salary of this proposed position gonna be split between the school budget and the town budget?
We're gonna take that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have recommendations on, yes, I think basically yes, but we're gonna have some discussions on exactly how that's gonna be put forward before we bring this to the finance committee, which will be in March.
Uh-oh, I just pissed off the chair of the finance committee. You should have told me that
Just giving
before.
you
Yeah, and this would be outside of the typical 4%
Yeah,
growth factor.
yeah.
So this would happen first. It really doesn't make a difference whether it's split or not. It just depends on how we want to keep control of it. And
Right.
whether the control resides in, I'd say it follows reporting structure would be how I'd do it, but that's an opinion. No.
Yeah, so, we have had some discussions about that, but, yes, I would see this as not a traditional municipal or school issue. It's a townwide issue.
All right.
Okay,
The only last thing I have, Madam Chair, on that budget, I do have the marijuana impact form. And we do have that one item that's within the board's budget having to do with, the townwide social worker. I put that in there at $17,500 just as a placeholder for now, but, I think we need to go back and take a look at the entire HCA balance and what the requests are
Okay.
to see where that would best fall.
okay.
What
But
do
I
we have
just
for
didn't want-
opioid money? It's not significant.
182,000 for this coming fiscal
For
year.
this fiscal year?
Yes.
FY 26.
Yes.
A lot more than I thought it was gonna be.
It's
Is
still,
that
still only
something-
about 2/3 of what we're using right now.
Right.
Can that pay for that?
Well, it's 2/3 of what we're using. Oh, you're
So
talking
something's
as far
gonna
as-
have to be cut, and
Yeah.
we just have to
So
figure out what's
yes,
gonna.
theoretically, we could devote it to that and we could probably devote it to several other things.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have a question on that though. So in your budget, under expenses, it has consulting services. And it's 35,000, community impact / HCA discussion. Is that the same thing we're talking?
yeah, so that probably should be updated to 17.5 as a placeholder, but on the form, I have it at 17.5.
Except we are gonna have to absorb the cost anyway at some point.
One way or another, the town has to either has to transition the items that the town wants to keep onto the general fund budget or to eliminate those functions.
Yeah, but shouldn't we be doing that now?
We will be doing that over the next month or two, once we see where all the requests have come in.
Right,
Right.
yeah, we're doing it.
Yeah, so, within a month, we'll have some recommendations on where those adjustments need to be.
But we have to, whatever we decide in FY 26, we have to think of FY 27 when we have to absorb all of it. So that's, so
I know,
we can
but
get half of it
yeah,
this year. But
okay.
whatever we do has ramifications that are we going to cut the other half in 27 or are we not?
I think the strategic thinking is everything that's on the list this year and in previous years and that you anticipate for next year,
Yeah.
right? looking at that and then saying maybe 75% of it gets funded through HCA funds
Yeah.
because we have them available, but 25% gets built into the operating budget. And then another 25%. And then by the time there are no funds left with HCA, you've already built your budget in such a way
Yeah.
that you're not going from 0 to 100, you're already halfway there.
But
Does that make sense?
I thought we were done with HCA funds, like with this coming.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
but they're still there because they lag a couple of years.
It lasts.
The money's still
We're
there.
done collecting them.
Yeah.
We're done collecting them, but we have a portion of them certified and there's
Right.
one more portion coming through that's not certified.
Right.
So it's just, this is like the delayed effect.
Fiscal 26 will be the last year though.
Or do we get money that,
No,
It'll be
it'll bleed a little bit into
Yes.
27 and 27 will be the last year.
50,000 into 27, into 26, we've already been certified for 182,000. Since,
And then the 150 in 27 will be the end of it.
so if you could lay that on a multi-year chart as we look at
Yeah.
HCA, yeah.
absolutely.
Where's the tax, where is the, I don't talk about weed at all because it's so awkward. Where does the 3% tax go? That you
Into
get
local
Goes
receipts.
into our local receipt.
just local?
Yeah.
receipts?
Yeah.
Okay,
Is that rolled into, yeah, but that's recurring and that's not going away. So
no,
we could
Yeah,
discuss
I
how
mean,
that's handled.
based on
Yeah.
sales, and
Yeah.
that's based on, what the local option
Yeah,
is.
so we look at the trends
Yeah,
and we
okay.
try to give a, conservative estimate.
it's at least a couple $100,000 a year. From my
Yeah.
math, that's all.
So Madam Chair, if there's no other questions on that, I would ask the board to move to the executive office tab. There's just a few smaller budgets
Yeah.
under that one.
I guess.
The first I would mention is the sealer of weights and measures. That's remaining unchanged. We have an agreement with Medway
Yep,
and Medfield, and Medway has a sealer that does the work for all three towns, so that's unchanged.
yep,
The contract goes through June of next year, so.
Right.
It's gonna change.
okay.
So the next one is legal. We've had it at 95,000, for a budget for a while. For the first time in 7 years, our town council is, there's an increase from 6,000 a month to 6,500. So that's about a $6,000 increase per year.
I don't see that in the line though.
Which town council?
Town council line says 90. Oh, you've.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The 105 at the bottom.
The total is correct. So if you go up, it's 105.
JP.
General counsel.
Me, Talaman and Costa, that's
Oh,
one
the
piece of
one.
it.
Yep,
And the other piece is our labor council from KP Law.
yep,
The prices are going up as well.
Shocking,
So,
shocking.
so I think to feel confident that shouldn't have to go back for a reserve fund transfer would be to increase it from 95,000 to 105,000. Again, it's the first increase in 7 years for our town council. And KP Law goes up every 3 years
okay.
and adjust their prices. The last one under executive offices is public celebrations at 6,100, and that's unchanged.
Right, we increased the Memorial Day last year. We have not increased the Legion in a couple of years. That's the only one that we would consider if there was extra funding to maybe put a little bit more in there. The Legion, I know they would never quite cover what they're looking for us to cover. They cover it on their own.
For what exactly though?
For Legion,
Yeah,
they submit for all different things. They can submit for, it can be for heat, fuel, anything.
Oh,
That's
for the
basically
building?
their budget, that's a piece of their budget, right? So
Yeah.
the rest of it's all what they put in and then they submit as much as they can.
Do we own the building?
no,
No,
Legion members own the building.
Yeah.
It's a weird
it's a weird
thing.
agreement,
Do
yeah.
we pay for it?
Not the building, but
No,
we help
we help
them out
them.
with things.
We help them, because they're dues. It's like, don't start on the Legion.
I'm just
Yeah.
curious. I'm just curious.
Yeah, don't go there.
Don't go to. don't start on the Legion. I go there.
$4,100.
As you know, I go there
I know you do.
every Thursday
Every week.
morning for their breakfast, which is donated, by the way.
Well, no, since it was under
Oh,
public
really? What's that
celebrations, I just
I know,
wasn't
it's a
sure if
weird
it had to do with
Jeffrey.
like Veterans
Oil.
Day or there was something specific. that-
Yeah, some of
Okay.
it's for that, it can be for flags, it can be other things, it could be like, they had real deck repairs and it was beyond what they could afford, they will use for this.
Okay.
It's interesting, but it's it's chump change really, the 4,100 is not a lot. And again,
No,
we don't increase it too much. But something to think about if a little bit extra.
okay,
So, moving to town buildings, this is the last one, I believe.
Majority of the benefits and stuff. I know.
So
We're not talking about that yet.
I can give an update on benefits. I don't have final numbers right now on benefits. The GIC actually just had a presentation last Thursday, just so that we can get a feel for expectations going into FY 26. I can give a blanket 10%, but that's not doing. We've actually begun just a health benefit analysis to just give a little bit more detail around what our current population is using as far as benefits go, so that we can just validate some of these numbers, just how I'll look at it. So I don't have that yet, but just know that there is an undeniable rise in benefit costs. So it's gonna go up. We're just not certain as to how much.
Both for the pension,
yes.
estimate we receive. I think we're looking at 11%.
11% for our community into FY 26.
Again, we have no control over that. That's the.
$2,000 difference year over year.
And the GIC, again, we're looking at possibly 10%. And I have spoken to other companies that do provide insurance to municipalities, and they're looking at increases between 10 and 15%. That's coming in. So
well,
hopefully it's below 10, but
And then the other, you didn't talk about the other insurance budget, do you have
the general,
the general?
Yeah, so that, we'll be meeting with our insurance
Yes.
partner, either later this week or early next, just to get some insurance numbers. I know our workers' comp audit was, a bit more than we expected this year, based on what was budgeted last year. And that's based on payroll. So again, our payroll goes up, our workers' comp goes up. So again, a little more analysis on that side of the house, and then we'll be able to get some numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, my liability through the roof. I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
it went up, it doubled, basically.
I mean, until we get a little bit more insight on our claims history, and the way that they factor those things in our rolling years. So if we had a really high claims year, that'll drive our numbers up for that given year. But based on where we are with that claim cycle, if we know that, we're gonna have a high year rolling off, then we may be able to budget a little more modestly, but we'll get that information from our partners, like I said, later this week.
Yeah,
early
with
next.
property, I would expect it to go up dramatically. Mine was my summer camps and childcare with liabilities around children that
Right.
killed us. And we had no claims. We haven't had a claim in 20+ years, yeah. Yeah.
And there are other things that are getting added, like cyber insurance.
I know.
That was never a thing, we have that.
That was cheap. That was a cheap one for me.
But terrorism, I never checked that box, by the way. They will take that off if you say no.
I don't think we do, but
Really? Because that's a little add-in. I mean, all you gotta do is say, I'm not worried about that.
$1,700 or something like that. It's
Something.
not a lot.
All right, what else you got there?
so, Madam Chair, on the town buildings, the wages, that's just, a half-time for the energy manager. There's no change, no real change there. That's gonna be by collective bargaining agreement. And on the expenses, I think there's only a few changes. The maintenance contracts is dropping slightly. I think some of that's going over to the IT expenses.
they reallocated, but
Reallocated.
saying, it's moving again to IT, this is for copiers, printers, that type of thing.
Yep,
Do need a little bit of an increase
I
in
see.
the supplies and expenditures for the VMB. That's increasing at 3,000. The electricity is going up just about 2,500. And then the
And then- I was gonna say for the electricity, we talked about it earlier, when we, I guess we were.
To add other
with the
buildings.
chiefs. Right, we have to add the other buildings, so
Yep.
that has not been rolled in here.
I got
And
it.
Again, that falls off their budget and
Yep.
rolls in here.
yep.
See how that goes.
So right now, that line item shows a slight reduction, but it'll be a slight increase once we're done with those adjustments.
Okay.
And I think that's it. Unless there's any questions.
You got nothing.
You got capital needs there, but those are for
Oh, yeah,
27.
capital needs, all right. So, and again, for this request is for 2027, but we have not, the town parking lot here has not been other than, you know, the potholes and, you know, the line cracking, the repair, there hasn't been a ton done to that, and so after 27 years, the parking lot's starting to show some signs of its age. So we just kind of wanted to put a heads up there that that's something that's gonna have to be looked at, to be done within the next couple of fiscal years.
Stairs, you were saying.
And the stairs,
The
again,
stairs.
the front stairs, we did had a $10,000 repair to the stairs about a year and a half ago, that seems to be holding up okay.
Yeah,
But we still wanna keep it on the radar that it may need a major rebuild, within the next couple of years, so we just have a line on 150,000 for that. So, nothing actually for this coming fiscal year within the department.
okay.
That's it. Anything else, Jody, that, we haven't covered on any of the budgets today?
I think, you know, just to reiterate that this is gonna be an evolving process, right? So this is the start of, getting to understand the needs of each department and what they're looking for. Certainly the town administrator's office and the finance office will continue to provide guidance, to each of the department heads and be available for support. But again, as information becomes available, we'll update you. We'll probably start to have beyond, you know, the budget meetings, just a regular standing agenda item, that looks to give you guys quick updates on any information that, is relevant that we're kind of waiting for. So continue to keep you posted.
And as the need arises for any updates or adjustments to these, we can certainly plan on doing updates to the select board regular meetings, but this should be the only 7-hour budget meeting of this
Oh,
budget
really?
season.
Yeah.
You never
kind
know,
of fun.
but-
And, revenue estimates will come out when, Jody? When do you think of revenue? First estimates?
Yeah, so say within a few weeks.
Cause we got the cherry sheet gave us nothing.
Yeah, it did.
We usually count zero.
I
Yeah.
here honestly for estimates on cherry sheets, but what's important to me is to kind of pull down all this information now that it's been all submitted. Provide you guys with sort of an executive summary update that kind of
Yeah.
gives you, here are the asks, you know, above level, HCA and capital, just so you have that, you know,
That'd be good.
and then you can drill down on the details in your packets. And then the next thing is to start working on the revenues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
And just a reminder for the board, you do have your meeting this
Wednesday.
Wednesday evening for the school project, 7 PM. And your next regular meeting is next Monday evening.
Just here.
Yes. Yes, yes, yeah.
do I have to make a motion?
Yes.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn, let's all adjourn? Aye.
aye.
When,
Have this figured.
this is for next week,
Next week.
good.
You'll have this figured out by the time you turn it.
I will.
Yeah, I looked at the cherry sheet